Isn't this like the best intro screen ever? Oh wow, it started right into my gameplay. Wait, give me a second. Alright, hey everyone! welcome to this Wednesday's replay. That's what we call this. I barely refer to the name of this. I only put it in the title. I think for branding purposes, I should use the word more. Hey, how are you all doing? Oh, by the way, I need to, before I even continue doing this, so yeah, I didn't want to make a big fuss out of this, because I wasn't able to set anything up for this whole stuff, but yeah, I made affiliate, and Mirosi over there actually became the first subscriber ever. Thank you so much. I didn't think... That was so impressive. I actually didn't think this was, like a priority at all. So it's quite nice to see. Also, the Spark, thank you as well for subscribing. Although there's nothing you can get from this yet. We're working on it. But give me some time. Like again, my priorities are the actual contents of the stream, not so much what's happening around it. But I am investigating the chances of improving my overlays and doing all of these insane things that real streamers are doing, like the subscriber badges and all of that stuff. Like I actually spent the weekend just looking into all of that, what that all means. And holy crap, I didn't realize there's so much work involved in this and so many options of stuff that you can do. So that was a doozy. That was a thing. So yeah, I guess congratulations, Mirosi, on the founders badges. You're welcome. All right, I'm seeing a lot of new people here today, which is great. I hope you'll stick around. We are in for what I think will be an interesting episode, a bit different than the others. Yeah, but first, again, before we dive in, let's relax. Let's, shake off that nervosity. How are you all doing? How was your week? I will, Mirosi. I will buy some tap water. I think like Twitch takes like half of it or something. I don't know. Ah, man, this is so great. I was actually, I had a bit of a, vaccinated first dose today, lol3k. Congratulations. May I ask what the vaccine is they gave you? What's the name of the Bill Gates microchip stuff that they put in you? I got vaccinated as well on Monday, and that was quite something. So that's part of why this week has been so crazy for me. Basically, on Friday last week, I somehow managed to get into I managed to get an appointment, at like a local hospital, and it was super surprising to me because I have no priority group or whatever, right? And I basically was like, yeah, okay, this is gonna take a while till I get one. So all of a sudden I get one for the Johnson vaccine on Monday, literally. So for Friday on Monday, and I pretty much went into it with the thought of, yeah, they're either gonna take my kidney or they'll tell me that this was a big mistake. They didn't have any. But ultimately, I actually got my vaccine on Monday, which was an insane feeling. I don't know, it was like I was sitting there on the outside of this clinic, which was in a forest, the Resident Evil material, I think, and I was just sitting there in the sun, waiting for those 15 minutes they have to, they sit you around for 15 minutes, so they check if you don't pass out or whatever, have any side effects. So sitting there and contemplating this whole, these 18 months of lockdown, right, and pandemic, all boils down to this tiny little moment where they just inject you with this one little thing, and that is supposedly the solution to it all, right? I mean, it's obviously more complex than that, but it felt so monumental. I don't know. I was very euphoric after the whole deal, until the evening where I started feeling sick, and then I had like a really, really horrible flu night, which in a way was also fascinating because I hadn't been sick in a long time thanks to the pandemic, right? And yeah, so that's past now. We're all recovered, and now vaccination crew, everybody, do it, worth it. All right, sorry, I went on a tangent there. I asked a question, and then I just kind of saw a cue, and I just went with it. So lol 3K, it's the Pfizer one, nice, German quality. Yeah, I thought it was 25 and 50. Ah, for affiliate, for partner, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Again, like, this is so nice, and thank you so much for the subscriptions. But like, I honestly never assumed that I'd end up, you know, monetizing this in any kind of way. Like, I just want to become smarter and better at what I do, and hopefully have you become part of this journey. Yeah, that's what this is all about. You actually got an email from the SAE Institute about your new Twitch channel. That's fucking awesome, little Big Magda. Congratulations on finding your way to here. I hope I can make it worth your time. Yeah. Might stay in the world for years. Yeah, I you know, I have no clue. I'm not an expert, but I fully anticipate this to become like a, you know, like you get the flu shot, you get the COVID shot, and then another year goes by. Thank you so much, Spark. That's very nice. What else? What else? So I got the shot. Oh, I almost chopped off my index, my pointer finger on the left hand. That was a thing. I was preparing a roast chicken, and I was chopping a lemon in my hand, which is when I noticed or learned that my knife became dull. Because you only cut yourself with dull knives. It's true. Like, those are the ones that you end up slipping with. You know, if it's not properly sharpened, bad. So you could say in a way that I almost cut off my finger. I almost lost a finger while trying to shove a lemon up a chicken's butt. And if anyone questions the existence or the basically that chickens used to be dinosaurs at some point after this vicious attack, I don't know what can help you. Ooh. Wow. Look at that. Something triggered the bot moderator thing and sent someone flying. I have no clue what caused that, but hey. Hope it's a good flight. I hope it wasn't something bad. Yeah, cold vaccine Twitch, J&J's side effects. Yeah, you know. That's too close to Mr. Bean and his watch. Well, you know. But it actually, I don't know if the camera picks it up. Do you see how deep that was? You see that? And if you look at the other side, you can, you know, like, it's hard to gauge, but it's like, it's a fairly nasty cut. I don't think I've ever bled this much from cutting myself. Don't do it, folks. Be careful. So those two were the things that kind of, you know, made my week a little bit more interesting. Yeah, that was definitely something. One of those I would recommend. Hint: the cutting is not it. True about Thorgal in CDPR. I do not know what you're talking about. Yeah, you know, Roma. It was actually, it was suddenly very painful, and then it became a bit more painful after. But I don't know. I held a message for a reason. I wanted to see that. Fucking great. Lol through K. The bot wanted to nuke that message, but I stood in the way. I told the robot, buddy, no, he's cool. He can post. Okay. Yeah. So let me try to sum up what we're gonna do today. This is gonna be something. All right. Okay. So on the weekend also, I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about Mass Effect Legendary Edition, right? And since I hadn't started playing it yet, I actually asked him how the game held up, right? And basically what I was being told is that while the experience itself is still pretty stellar, it is Mass Effect after all, he also noted that one particular area did seem to not have aged too well, had some shortcomings, and that area was the level design, right? Now, naturally, that kind of piqued my interest, right? It got my juices going, and being a huge fan of the series, in fact, it's actually one of my, I say, top 10 games series of all time. I really, really love this game series. I did not remember, though, that there was anything off with the level design in any of the games in particular when I was playing it back then. But then again, that was a long time ago, right? I did get on the Mass Effect train a bit later. The third one had just been announced, and I figured, okay, with everyone being this hyped about the third one, maybe I should check out the games. And I shit you not, I basically played 1 and 2 over the course of 2 days. I was a student back then, and you know, things were different. I had time. Basically I started playing in the morning, and I would stop late in the night, and my girlfriend basically didn't see me for these 2 days. I pretty much just sat in my room doing this, occasionally leaving to grab some food. I was so captivated by these games, right? Now, doing a bit of research, I found out that, yeah, it seems that the combat, and by proxy then also the level design, because these two are very closely connected, right? That the combat was one of the more criticized parts of what otherwise is a fantastic game series. And I guess, I mean, maybe the UI? Oh god, yeah, the UI, okay, right? But that's not really my area of expertise, so I can't talk too much about that. Anyway, that brings me to today, where we are sitting here together, wanting to talk about games, right? And so today, we're kicking off a bit of a new series. And similar like when we picked apart Dishonored, right, over multiple episodes of replay, this time we will take a look at the Mass Effect series. And so this is going to be a series focusing on improvement and improving on one's own design and work. And I want to find the shortcomings of Mass Effect 1's supposed bad level design and see where that comes from, and basically what the deal is, right? And over the course of the next episodes of this stream, I got to say replay a bit more often to establish the brand, I was told. I want to see how other games in the series improve on these shortcomings and, you know, become better. Because after all, the second one is critically acclaimed, and partially also for how the combat experience did evolve from the first one, right? That usually, when you look around, people see that the combat experience in the second game is much, much better than in the first one, right? So clearly, there was some awareness and some will to improve on that front. And again, since the combat experience in games, especially in these kinds, third-person shooters, right, it is they're very close to and related to the level design and to the way the arenas are designed in the game. So what better place to look at this than in our little group of learning and scholars over here, right? So from this, I'm hoping to find some lessons we can learn from the first game and see what methods the development team actually utilized and came up with to improve their work in later games. And I say we can learn because, you know, I'm not really sure what lessons the development team in by itself took, right? I'm not in their heads. I didn't talk to anyone of the old team who made these games, although I would love to. So we can only guess stuff here. We can look at the final product of the game and see, you know, and derive our own conclusions and see how these change throughout the experience, right? Because ultimately, while we can come up with level design solutions to their problems, right? And verify them with later installments of the game series, they may have just solved them by hiring better and more experienced talent, right? And these guys, you know, the new hirees might have just brought in better designs as they were working. That's a valid way of solving it. So this whole process of analyzing and understanding is not necessarily how they fixed it, right? But I suppose this kind of goes without saying, right? This is a bit of a disclaimer in that regard. I'm not sitting here trying to imply, you know, that this is literally what they thought, right? But you know this. Anyway, so who knows? The improvements we may see might not even be because of... oh, God, I lost my train of thought because it's really, really warm. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we're here to learn, right? That's it. That's what it's all about. And let's do just that. And I can't wait. Now, today, I have prepared a couple of save games, right? But before I do this, let's talk about my sponsor. No. I actually forgot. I forgot one thing, which I think is really important. I did set up one small thing about this whole affiliate thing, which I thought was pretty fun. And that was the channel points. Channel points. So I set up skill points, right? Because we're basically... wait, did I miss someone? Oh. So we're basically, you know, sitting here collecting experience points, right? Learning. And from that, over time, you unlock skill points, which I thought is pretty good, right? Is the bot too strong? Because I see it punting a lot of messages. Maybe my moderators can check in with Danya, who's always been really nice. You know, I don't know. I'm sorry if it's too hardcore. I'll nerf the bot in future installments. Just bear with me for now. It's the first time it's really in here. So please do give feedback if it's too hardcore. You know, my moderators, please take a look out for this. We need to monitor this. I don't want our Terminator toast bot to kind of, you know, make this too hardcore. Sorry, I'm sorry. Can we turn it off? Can I turn them off? I don't know. I'll actually, can I turn the bot? No. Doesn't matter. Okay, anyway, so this skill points, right? We learn as we go. So in my channel points are just called skill points. And you can do a variety of fun little things. I try to make it so that it's a balance of, you know, fun things, but also things that might be cool, right? So I'm not really in favor of putting a point system that you know, enables you to do what you should be able to do, which I think is like, you know, if you ask questions, I should be able to get around and answer them. We're here together to learn about game design and level design, right? So I don't want to put any weird limits as in like, yeah, you need to spend 500 skill points to ask a question, and then, only then, I may answer that. No. So just a few little fun things, right? I added one which is called focus, just because it's sort of like, you know, if I miss something, you can use it to kind of highlight me, right? I will more likely then use this kind of stuff. And the other thing, oh, Spark, sorry. Okay, have a good evening though, right? The bot will be there. The bot will be there. Thanks again for the subscription. So, and one thing that I've added, which I think might be a cool thing for you if you're interested, I added a community challenge straight away, right? And that is basically the unlocking of the secret level. And you can learn what the secret level is, which, you know, in essence is a special type of stream, a kind of event stream that I might be hosting once unlocked. And you can learn what the current secret level challenge sort of is by typing in !secret level. I think. I hope. Someone test it, please. And, you know, the goal of this is to kind of... Did it work? Is it a whisper? I don't know. Now I need to test it. Oh my god! Oh, no, it's there. What? It worked for me. Come on. You can't pretend it doesn't work. Why does it work for me? All right, I need to clearly... Oh! AJ, Ayot, I'm not quite sure, but hello. Hey, welcome. So, yeah. Anyway, so the point of these kind of streams is to have like these little event streams, right? Where I try to do something different. The first one, I will ask some of my colleagues to join me, and we will do a whole day of playing Valheim and building a village, kind of like how we might build a village in a production, right? In a game. And we will talk about the choices that we made, right? We might come up with some silly requirements like, hey, what if this village, you know, like there's this village has an ogre problem, I don't know. And, you know, you need to kind of learn, we need to build a place where the ogre lives or whatever. And like there's a tavern in this village, and this is where you get the mission and all of that stuff. So, you know, we will all explain how we kind of do that, and it will be hopefully a nice little relaxed stream of showing some game developers build stuff in Valheim. I think that may be fun. Yeah. Is the command working for everyone else of you? And yes, I'm feeling much, much better. Thank you for asking. It actually, you know, like the health came by relatively quickly, I will say. Okay, Danya, yes, I don't know. Sorry again for the bot going rogue on you. I'm not sure what happened. I think Crazy Kitty, one of my mods, untimed outed you immediately after. So sorry about that. If that happens again, just let them know. I need to nerf the bot. I need to nerf it. Oh, I don't think, you know, I only got my J&J shot on Monday, and so far I'm feeling fine. Like the flu side effects were kind of crazy, but like the day after I immediately felt better, and now I'm feeling fine. So it goes by relatively quickly. Hopefully no thrombosis thing, but I don't think. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, I think I talked about everything. Sorry, so that was a bit of a tangent. I talked about the skill points, you know, using them to unlock talents. I think the fantasy is clear here. It's pretty good. I glanced at the affiliate thing. Okay, we talked about what we want to do today with Mass Effect. How about we actually dive into it now and play some Mass Effect? So this time around, I actually charged the controller beforehand. Yeah, do this. Wait. Oh no, wrong button. Oh, there we go. So, guys, we will start. Yeah, let me start. Yeah, we'll start from the very beginning, the first section, and then otherwise I've prepared some save games, right? So let's start a new career because we're not gonna play my Shepard.
Welcome to Alliance Military Database. Classified information requested. Establishing secure connection.
Wait.
Secure connection confirmed.
I almost forgot to start the recording. Okay, guys. Which one do we play for this one section? Again, the save files is already determined, but let me use this to just. I want to test the poll function, which I have only now discovered. Male, Shepard. Oh, wait. Alright. Let's do this. Just like this. Okay. I just wanted to test this. Sorry. Ooh. Wow, this is amazing. It's amazing. Look at that. You have to basically bear with me, like being a little kid, uncovering uncovering all of Twitch's functionalities. We'll learn about this. Wow, how is it so close? It is actually, that is good. It is great. Okay, that was way too long. 1 minute for these polls is way too long. Come on. I will not toss a coin. Not to my Witcher anyway. Now that I said this will be stuck in your head for a while. Okay, let's end it here. Ah. Oh, what? Oh, wow, it's these are fighting for each other. Look at that. Female one just so closely. Very cool. Okay, now I know how that works. So let's go with Jane Shepard.
Please log in to access your profile.
We'll call her Toastspender Shepard. That's Spender. Yeah, all right, why not?
Profile reconstruction complete.
Okay, we're just here to test this anyway.
Confirmed.
I'm not going to play on. It's very difficult for the sake of this. We're playing on normal. Okay,
Well,
I
what
feel like
about
we need
Shepard?
to do something about this.
Earthborn, but no record of her family.
Doesn't have one. She was raised on the streets, learned to look out for herself.
She saw her whole unit die on a cruise. She could have some serious emotional scars.
Every soldier has scars. Shepard's a survivor.
Is that the kind of person we want protecting the galaxy?
That's the only kind of person who can protect the galaxy.
I'll make the call.
Guys, I tuned down the difficulty, this spam filter of the bot. I hope it helps. I don't know if it updates live. It's a Terminator.
Arcturus Prime relay is in range. Initiating transmission sequence.
Commander?
We are connected. Calculating transit mass and destination. The relay is hot. Acquiring approach vector. All stations secure for transit. Screen. Approach run has begun. Hitting the relay in 3, 2, 1. Thrusters. Check.
Oh, this has got to be one of the best intro sequences ever. Oh, it always gives me chills. It is so good. LOL 3K, I mean, you know, you got to be a bit forgiving here. This game is old. It's a remaster, right? You know, it's from 2007 is when it first came out, so come on. Oh, wow. I love this sequence so much. Also, you know what you know, we're not here for the story so much, sorry, so just gonna talk over it. But one thing I really like about this series is its name being like a thing in the world, sort of, right? Like the science that makes all of this function, the Mass Effect relays. That's where the title comes from. I think this is sort of cool.
Official story, but only an idiot believes the official story.
Cut the
That's
chatter.
enough. Your soldiers act like it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Commander.
Joker, status report.
Just cleared the mass relay, Captain. Stealth systems engaged. Everything looks solid.
Good. Find a comm buoy and link us into the network. I want mission reports relayed back to Alliance brass before we reach Eden Prime.
Aye, aye, Captain. Better brace yourself, sir. I think Nihilus is
Man, just
headed
that
away.
sequence where she walks around the ship and you get the cuts in, you know, like where she just shoves people aside. Ah, it's so good.
You get that, Commander?
I'm on my way.
Is it me or does the Captain always sound a little pissed off?
Only when he's talking to you, Joker.
You know, like just watching this, it makes me realize, you know, like, I mean, it's kind of clear that The Expanse, in case you haven't seen it, is sort of the closest thing we have to a Mass Effect TV series right now. And just seeing this, it, you know, like, it kind of hits home, like, how close the connection actually is. Like, you can totally play James Holden was it, right? In this game. You can totally play him. Okay, let's just finish this. I'm not here for this. I'm here for the combat levels.
Commander Shepard, I was hoping you'd get here first. It will give us a chance to talk.
What about?
I'm interested in this world we're going to, Eden Prime. I've heard it's quite beautiful.
I've never been there.
But you know of it. It's become something of a symbol for your people, hasn't it? Proof that humanity can not only establish colonies across the galaxy, but also protect them. But how safe is it really?
If you've got something to say, just say it.
Your people are still newcomers, Shepard. The galaxy can be a very dangerous place. Is the Alliance truly ready for this?
I think it's about time we told the commander what's really going on.
This mission is far more than a simple shakedown run.
I figured there was something you weren't telling us.
We're making a covert pickup on Eden Prime. That's why we needed the stealth systems operational.
All right, we're not
What's the
gonna
payload,
go too
Captain?
deep into
A
this.
research team on Eden Prime. Unearthed some kind of
If you haven't played the game series, I highly recommend it.
was
No better time than now that the Legendary Edition has come out.
What else can you tell me?
This is big, Shepard. The last time humanity made
The first one
step
has
into
aged a
space,
bit,
it jumped out
but
and
it's
now
still
it's
really,
forward
really
200
good.
years. But Eden Prime doesn't have the facilities to handle something. We need to bring the beacon back.
Again, LOL 3K, you know, it's a sign of the
this
times.
goes
I'm not
beyond
sure
mere human
Witcher
interest,
Witcher
Commander.
1 came
This
out
discovery could affect every
around
species
2007
in
as well, I
council
think, and there was no blinking there as well. I think. I'm not 100% sure now, actually.
It never hurts to have a few extra hands on board.
The beacon's not the only reason I'm here.
Just goes to show how far games have actually come, right? Like now you notice, I know that you're joking, but it's like really this thing where now you look at this and you notice all of these issues, right? Back then when you played this, you're like, man, this game looks amazing. What the fuck, right? And it's just crazy. Just look at the new Unreal stuff. Holy
The
crap.
Spectres represent the Council's power and authority. If they accept a human into their ranks, it shows how far the Alliance has come.
Not many could have survived what you went through on Akuz. You showed a remarkable will to live, a particularly useful talent.
Yeah,
That's
just
why I put
imagine
your
how
name
games will
forward
look
as
like
a
in 5
candidate
years
for
from
the
now. It will be
Spectres.
absolutely insane, I think. Alright.
Just tell me what I have to do.
I need to see your skills for myself, Commander. Eden Prime will be the first.
Probably
of several.
blinking is really performance heavy.
You'll be in charge of the ground team. Secure the beacon and get it onto the ship ASAP. Nihilus will accompany you to observe the mission.
I remember, like,
Just give the
back
word,
for the
Captain.
N64 era,
Should be
or
getting close
like
to
like around the time
a problem.
What's wrong, Joker?
where eyes were
Transmission from
basically
Eden Prime,
just
sir.
one
You better see
polygon,
this.
right, on the face or whatever.
Bring it up on screen.
They do blinking by basically having like this tiny texture swap. So it's essentially, you know, like the closed eye texture versus the open eye texture.
We are under attack, taking heavy casualties. I repeat, heavy casualties. We can't. Need evac. They came out of nowhere. We need.
Everything cuts out after that. No comm traffic at all. Just goes dead. There's nothing.
Reverse and hold at 38.5.
Yeah, it's almost hypnotic, Mirosi.
Status report.
17 minutes out, Captain. No other Alliance ships in the area.
So Little Big Macta is asking how many insight
us
I have
fast
into the
and far.
programming part of a game
This
like
mission
this, and
just
that
got a lot
depends
more
really. If you're talking about true
Small strike
programming,
team can move
then
quickly
probably not so
without
much. I
drawing
don't really
attention.
code, right?
It's our
But
best chance to secure the beacon.
as a level designer, I
Grab your
script,
gear and meet us in the
right?
cargo
So
hold.
which is coding light, if you will, and more on the front end. And for that, yeah, sure, I could talk about that, I suppose. Thought of suggesting games for analysis, but was unsure what time frame you consider as contemporary, Miles. No, retros are cool as well. Like, honestly, again, that's the beauty of me having no real ambition of making it big or whatever, right? I don't care. We can do old games, we can do new games. It doesn't matter. It's not like I need to stream the hottest shit.
survivors, Captain?
But Mass Effect is hot shit even for me. Like, I really wanted to play it.
your top priority.
Approaching drop point 1.
Okay, guys, we're getting into gameplay territory.
I move faster on my own.
Now, one thing, he's so badass.
Nihilus will scout out ahead. He'll feed you status reports throughout the mission. Otherwise, I want radio silence.
I do take suggestions. Yes, I actually have like this Excel sheet now where I just put the name of new games and then also the votes, you know,
Drop point 2.
like how oftentimes it was brought up. Now with Mass Effect, I cheated a bit. This one had like my own veto vote.
Ship perimeter secure, Commander.
Okay, so one thing we need to first understand when criticizing or you know, critiquing this game and taking a look at the level design here is that it's of course more than 13 years old, right? Yeah, it came out 2007, I believe. That's a long time. game developers have learned a lot about making games since then, right? It's not just the technology that became better. It's also the knowledge, the accumulated knowledge of designers throughout the entire world that became better. As a result, you'll find that generally speaking, most games, quality-wise, probably like when it comes to level design or gameplay design, have like a higher baseline standard, right? And you see this with the extremes also with games that are much, much older compared to today. The industry is still very young, so of course there's still a lot of learning happening, and yeah. And you know, like you have this little thing where there's immediately some cover, right? And it makes it kind of look like you're supposed to fight here.
What the hell are those?
The game is kind of going like this, and you're also kind of being told how to shoot things, but these are, you know, they're non-hostile, and you can just practice your shooting here. It's a bit of a tutorial thing. But we want to really get into the combat spaces here, and we'll just play it and do recorded analysis later on. I'll just comment a bit on what I see. But usually what I find, it's very good practice to look at the introductory experiences of games, their prologues, the first hour or so, because usually this is where the game in many ways is sort of at its apex, right? Oftentimes, not universally, but oops, there you go. All right, I need to finish this first. You see there's a lot of cover over there, right? Which make this look like it's actually a huge arena. Okay, I lost the last enemy, I think? No. Was that it? Oh, lots of cover. Okay, he died. Where was I? Can someone help me?
Sometimes Marines die. The rest of us just have to carry on. We still have to find that beacon.
Aye, aye, ma'am.
Wait, I was talking about... I forgot. Someone give me a line. Throw me a line. I totally forgot about this. How is it possible? Is it the Johnson after effect? Ah, big arena with cover? No, there was something before that. There was something before that.
I've got some burned out buildings here, Shepard. A lot of bodies. I'm gonna check it out.
No, I know I talked about the big arena. Thanks, Spark. I really appreciate it. About old game remakes? Why is it... I'm going back now in hopes that it will bring back my memory. Introductory gameplay experiences. Thank you, Crazy Kitty. Ah, my moderator came in to save me. Okay, right? I think they're really important to look at and really good because oftentimes a game is at its apex here. It's because ideally an introductory experience is kind of made towards the end of game development when you have all the features, right? And then you kind of put everything you've learned throughout the knowledge of the game in here to really teach the game's mechanics, right? And then there's also, sadly, this other part in game development where, you know, usually, how do I put this without it coming off as weird? Well, the harsh reality of game development is that usually you're constantly juggling the resources you have with the time you have left to finish a game, right? And so what developers have started doing, and I don't know if they have always, but at least from what I have learned throughout my years and from talking to many different developers, is that when it comes to the final stages of development, you need to make some calls, right? And there are instances where then, you know, developers will start sort of polishing earlier parts of the game over, for example, the latest parts of the game, right, towards the end, because statistically speaking, it is true that only a tiny percentage of players actually ever finish long RPG games, like this one, for example. It is really like a single-digit number almost, I believe. It's absurdly small. So, you know, you can then understand when faced with the issue of like, where do you spend the time fixing bugs, you end up front loading the quality a bit, right? Either way, so that happens, which makes introductory experience usually like a great, you know, sample of a game's, you know, overall experience, what playing this is or what they're trying to get out of this, right? And that's why we're looking at this one here today. Oops. All right, calm your horses. Calm your horses, Kaden. All right.
Thanks for your help, Commander. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, I mean, it's not so necessarily like an important bit of a tutorial bit, but one thing that I do notice here is, and I think this generally holds true for the level design in this game, is that they sort of struggle to get the player to move to certain positions where they need to be in combat, right? Clearly, there's a lot of cover placed also in the previous section that is kind of serving the function of, you know, kind of allowing me to think, okay, I'm safe. I could move forward, right? So, and if I did and moved forward, I would not only have an easier time shooting these Geth, but I also see much better the scene going on here with the impaled dudes, right? However, there's various reasons, and we'll talk about this later when we do our analysis, why this often doesn't work as well.
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams of the 212.
Oh, right.
You the one in charge here, ma'am?
Give me a status report, Williams.
Oh, man. We were patrolling the perimeter when the attack hit. We tried to get off a distress call, but they cut off our communications. I've been fighting for my life ever since.
Any idea what kind of enemy we're facing?
Lol 3K, can you rephrase the question? I'm not sure I get what you're trying to ask. Sorry.
Why are they here now?
They must have come for the beacon. The dig site is close, just over that rise. It might still be there.
You're coming with us, Williams. We need that beacon.
Aye, aye, ma'am. It's time for payback.
Alright, it's time for payback. Let's pay them some back.
The beacon's at the far end of this trench.
See, and you know, having played this level, you have this sort of big thing over there, and it almost looks like, you know, if this was like an Uncharted game nowadays, that would be actually where you needed to go, I suppose. And where you'd ultimately end up being, but here it's not really anything. Tancho! Holy shit, man! Thank you for subscribing! You're number 3. I can count them. It's fucking cool. Thank you so much. How did you know what to do next? Ah, how I knew what to do next. So basically, Lol3K, this is really just, you know, like a relatively linear level, and the survivor scene, that was just a scene that triggered. Generally what they do here often is like their events are trigger based, which means, you know, I walk to a certain point and it will start happening as I enter the volume that is placed in front of me, the invisible one. Which can lead to some hilarious results. I can show you if you... Butian, what? Oh, come on. You're being too kind. We haven't even talked about anything yet today. Wait until you see that it's worth it. Don't just throw around your money. I suppose this counts. If I'm being a bit quiet, you know, like I'm sort of gathering my thoughts, of course, because I don't just want to ramble. Again, like I really plan on doing like a record, like an analysis of a recording at the end of this, so that's why I'm gathering my thoughts. All right, let's do something cool. How do I sprint? Oh, this. Flanking like a pro. Thinking about matcha. Good point. We should actually have some.
This is the dig site. The beacon was right here. It must have been
Let me
moved.
pour. Oh,
Our side or the Geth?
Hard to
she
say.
is.
Maybe we'll know more after we check out the research camp.
We make for the camp.
It's just on the top of this ridge, up the ramps.
It's a good point. Stay hydrated, folks. Also, by the way, for anyone subscribing now, of course, I think you will retroactively get all of this stuff once, you know, I've gotten around to asking people to help me out making all this stuff that needs to be done, respectively, right? So, and I'll try to make it cool. I mean, everyone says that, I suppose, that gets into this position, but I'll really try to make it cool. I want to give you as much value as I can out of this.
Looks like they hit the camp hard.
It's a good place for an ambush. Keep your guard up.
It's so fascinating to me to come back to this after so many years, right? I'm a huge fan of this. And I will say that now, with a lot more experience in making this, right? Between having played this first and, you know, replaying it now, there are quite a few things that I find relatively obvious. Of course, from my position now, right? That I didn't realize back then. And it's really quite fascinating. The walk animation of these guys is awesome as well. Research, hello! Okay, why is there two bots, by the way? Why do I have Stream Elements bot and the Toast bot? Is the Stream Elements bot? No, I need to figure this out. Shouldn't Toast bot be the one doing the judgments? Why is Stream Elements doing this? Yeah, but what was the question? Oh, probably because you wrote too long of a paragraph. Okay, so guys, in this... Hazelnuts, thank you so much! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, Giro also! What a barrage of subscriptions! You guys, you're insane! Stop! You can't do this until we started talking about actual game design here, right? Like, I need to do something so you can, you know, pay me back, okay? This is not... you guys, you're insane. Oh, thank you so much. This is embarrassing. I have no clue how to cope with this.
Sarah. Nihilus.
Yeah, he's so totally not evil,
This
right?
isn't your mission, Sarah. What are you doing here?
The council thought
Don't you know? Don't you realize he's all robotified? Like, he's literally your species.
The situation's bad.
You're of the same kind. Don't you notice, like, him being all bored up? And this...
What is that? Off in the distance.
It's a ship. Look at the size of it.
How does it disappear? I want to continue watching it. It literally just becomes smaller. They scale it. It doesn't actually move away. It scales. Really awesome. Can I climb? No. Crap. God damn it. Wait, is he still alive? Oh no, he killed my dude. So here, actually, it's very interesting. I don't know, those of you who have been here for a couple of streams already, let's try to... Thank you for indicating where the last enemy probably is. Come on. Alright. Ah. Suppose this is one way of trying to get me to go closer. See? Oh, come on. I was trying to make an educational point here. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, look. So those of you who have been here before, right? I remember in one of the earlier episodes we talked about briefly about player combat behavior when it comes to how they often react when fighting, right? So I'm talking about this moment where if you're engaged in combat, players often have this urge to pull back a bit, right? If stuff attacks you from the front, you don't necessarily walk up to it and start shooting it, but you're more inclined to move back and seek cover, right? And you can see how here, again, from today's point of view, it's easy to actually say these kind of things, but if you try to apply this here, you see that this is actually, there's no regard for this, right? And actually, with my pistol being relatively short-range weapon and the cover being placed around here, I can tell that the design intent probably was for the player to conquer ground and move forward, right? And you can see that it also looks awesome while you're shooting, right? And you can imagine how it must have been with the enemy swarming up and shooting here. But realistically, at least with today's ways of playing games, right? You know, that might certainly have an influence. With an attack like this, you're more like, oh shit, where's the cover? Where's the cover? And then you find very little up until nothing, right? And actually, you could argue that there's some here maybe, but it's not really good cover. It doesn't really give you anything, right? And it makes you, like, from here, I would say objectively, the combat experience is worse. It's quite fascinating, I think. Okay, we're almost at the end of this stretch, actually. No, are we? No, we're not. Okay, let's not deal with the explosives.
Commander.
Oh no, he's dead.
A Turian? You know him?
Guys, thanks for the hype train. I have no idea what that is, but thank you for it.
Something's moving over behind those crates.
Wait!
No backtracking.
Don't shoot! I'm one of you! I'm human!
What are you doing sneaking around back there?
I'm sorry, I was hiding from those creatures. My name's Powell.
Oh,
what happened to that
Gero
Turian?
gifted us up.
The other
Thank
one
you so
shot
much.
You're saying Nihilus was murdered by a Turian?
The other one got here first. He was waiting when your friend showed up. He called him Saren. I think they knew each other. Your friend seemed to relax. He let his guard down. And Saren killed him. Shot him right in the back. I'm just lucky he didn't see me behind the crates.
Where'd Saren go after he killed Nihilus?
He jumped on the cargo train and headed over to the other platform. Probably going after the beacon. I knew that beacon was trouble. Everything's gone to hell since we found it. First that damn mothership showed up, then the attack. They killed everyone. Everyone. If I hadn't been behind the crates, I'd be dead too.
We need to find that beacon before it's too late.
Take the cargo train. That's where the other Turian went. I can't stay here. I need to get away from all
That's
this.
true, Danya. My question was, I was wondering where that question was. I was almost worried that you didn't want to ask it again for fear of being punted. Again, so sorry. Oh, so sorry that it happened. My question was, Miles, are you in the camp of having players be tested initially using that trope or ignoring it? I'm not sure it needs to be a boss fight. I think using boss fights is not like a necessity nowadays anyway, right? It can be an encounter. In a way, if you look at Cyberpunk, for example, the Maelstrom's factory shootout, or like depending on how you solve it, but more so the Konpeki Plaza experience is the sort of finale of that tutorial section, of you learning everything you've learned in the prologue and then utilizing it in a more real scenario, right? On your own. And there's no real boss fight there. Dude, he's... What? Why the fuck is he coming closer? Oh, he's going all Terminator on my team. Alright, guys, so... But, you know, Danya, also, just to be sure, I think it's great practice to teach, you know, like generally. And you'll find this in many, many games, including things like the Mario games, right? Where you teach the player a mechanic, let them play around with it a bit, and then you give them like their own playground to test it more freely, right? And you build on the challenge. I think generally that's a great kind of way to build the new like learning experience for new mechanics, as we have seen in last week's Portal stream. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It was basically an entire episode about that concept. It's fucking cool though, right? Like, I'm sort of now realizing, look, we did a thing last week that I can relate to, and the week before we're gathering knowledge like crazy. Are you guys gonna come out? Holy shit! What the fuck, man? First off, is Sasko here in the chat? Hey man, if you are, if you're lurking. And thank you so much for the... What the fuck, man? I don't know what's going on. This is so cool. Thank you so much. Whoever you are. Alright, I need to go slaughter these guys. We have some ground to cover still. Okay. I'm gonna be a bit more aggressive now. Okay, I'm gonna die. No! You're not gonna kill me! It's close. It's close. Okay, look. I need to concentrate for a minute here. Otherwise I'll die and then the stream will end up going for 4 hours again. Let's try to keep it more focused.
Destroy the entire colony. Leave no evidence.
Matthew, welcome today. Welcome to the stream today. Yeah, but Tancho, generally I would agree with you. But I feel like during the week after the 3-hour mark, the quality suffers a bit. And I want this to be as good as it can be and not just 3 hours of awesome content and 1 hour of mad ramblings. I don't know, I'd rather have it be brief but really good. However, again, if you use your skill points, which is what the channel points are called, you can work together to unlock the secret level. And once you've done that, chances are we'll probably do like the idea is that you'll unlock a stream which is gonna be a whole day long. Okay, just for the summary, I need to disarm these bombs, and I have 5 minutes to do this.
Demolition charges. The Geth must have planted them.
Hurry! We need to find them all and shut them down.
And if you're wondering, I don't know if it worked, but if you're wondering, God damn it, there's an enemy over here. No? If you're wondering what that secret level is, you can use !! secret level to get some more information about it, I think. I don't know, it worked only for me or did it work for everyone? I feel really bad about the hardcoreness of that bot. It works. Okay, nice. Wait, research, did it work or not? I need to figure this out. But you know, these are growing pains. It's the first time we have this really set up. I can do it in a second. Oh wait, or I can... Holy crap, man, I'm dying. I'm genuinely dying here. I'm sorry for the jankiness of all of this. Yeah, the healing is on cooldown. Okay. Did I miss a bump over here? No. Oh, it's like in Counter-Strike. I'll do it here because I don't really have time to explain right now. There you go. Why does it only work for me? That's so dumb. Kind of anticipate that I'll probably do a Sunday stream this week just to you know, iron out these kinks. What do you say, guys? We should probably do something like that. Just have like coming Sunday also be a stream day, bit more relaxed, where we can work through these technical issues. I forgot a bomb, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know that Sunday is Sasko. Oh, motherfucker. And I would never dare take that time away from him. Not that I could. But I have done one Sunday lunch stream. Around lunch hour, just for 2 hours or so. Doing a bit more of a casual playthrough, where basically I play the game much more closely to how I would if it was just me. So my private playthrough, and we might do that again, right? Like a bit of a warm-up for Sasko's stream, if you will. Okay, we concluded here, and we have reached the beacon. I will not finish this here. I will, however, create a save file. I cannot save? Alright, then I won't. Let's take a look at another... No, actually, let's take a look at what we have already before we then jump in and continue. All right. Stop recording. Stop recording. Let's do a little bit of inventory management, if you will. And I will mute the game for now. Okay. And, let me switch into this for now. Hey, so you can watch me more closely as I fiddle with my hardware. That came off wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, I stand by it. All right. Where is it? There we go. Fucking A. All right. Okay, so so wait, game analysis. Ooh, I need to move the camera here, I suppose, on this screen to here, right? And we will also enable... Ooh, that is the wrong software. I'm launching Streamlabs. That doesn't make any sense now. Oh, I just want it. That's the old streaming stuff. Okay. Mythos, hello, welcome to the stream. How are you? You didn't miss much. Lots of organizational stuff. We've played the first sort of introductory level of Mass Effect. And now we're gonna take a look at the recording and do a little bit of analysis to see what observations we can take of things that might have been done better, right? So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, can you all see? You can hear. We see ourselves doing this. This is fucking so cool. We look at the amazing intro. This is all good. Let's skip forward to the gameplay bit.
Your team's the muscle in this operation, Commander. Go in heavy and head straight for the dig site.
Yes. Oh yeah, you actually get the tutorial prompt right at the beginning there, right? Used to holster your weapon, which is funny because I haven't actually pulled it yet. Oh, I wanted to show you. All right. Actually, that's... Please remind me before we switch from this back to gameplay that I show you what it means when the game is mostly built around triggers. It has some funny side effects. I'll show you. I do think that the industry itself grows relatively quickly. And with that, you know, a lot of people are moving in, which are bringing a lot of knowledge and gathering a lot of knowledge. So yeah, there's a fast rate of learning, which I think is cool. Wait, that... Did it? Oh. No, Zen Wolfie, thank you for the follow. I was confused whether it was in here, in the recording, or in the... Okay, so let's do some analysis. Yeah. See, this is something that I found very interesting. Because nowadays, you have like a very strong focus on setting up views and guiding the player's eye, right? And here, it is almost so confusing the moment when it cuts to the cutscene, because you basically have no context where this action is taking place, right? Notice how at this moment, we're basically looking at what, right? So this is our, you know, like the area we can see in, and we look at what exactly? Like there's some stuff in the background. There's some trees here, I suppose. And you might say, yeah, but you know, we're still up on the top of the hill. Like no, it's clear that we don't need to see anything. But when we get closer, we should see more, right? But at this point in time, it doesn't really change, right? So how this is designed is to be like this huge curve actually in this direction, right? And the action actually takes place over here. Yet, if you look at the flow of this level, unlike how many levels or designs in games nowadays do it, the landscape doesn't really support this kind of flow. Remember in our previous streams when we looked at Dishonored, right? This is the polar opposite. And you can see then that all of this stuff about composition and guiding lines that I was talking about, it does play a huge role, right? Just compare how strong of a role it played in the Dishonored game compared to here, where basically this is non-existent here almost, right? And usually how games would build this nowadays is actually that you'd sort of remove all the color. You'd probably have more like the terrain be more shaped like this, right? To sort of create this curve, this flow towards this area. Maybe have the rocks placed in a way that they actually support this shape as well. And suddenly you start seeing, you know, how it could help you push into the right direction. Because, you know, and why is this important? Because again, like at this point in time, this happened to me on my first playthrough when I played this privately again. Oh, by the way, notice just randomly at what time frame we actually stopped the recording. I mean, can it be any clearer that what we're doing here is awesome and cool, right? We just, by sheer randomness, we stopped at 13:37. Good stuff. Okay, so before I lose my trail of thought here again, why is this important here, right? Because again, at this point in time, when the cutscene triggers, it's mega confusing because we're not looking at anywhere where it goes. No, just look at how this plays out. So we walk straight. And out of nowhere, right, I'm looking to the left even, boom, stuff happens. And they're looking around, and I'm looking at this, and I'm not, where is this? Where is this area, right? And I'm, you know, I get to see it after, but there's a bit of a sort of disconnect, and it's sort of the same same stuff that you need to do when you cut movies and films, right? You need to cut the scenes in a way that the viewer can actually understand it and follow the action and story along, right? And what these guys are, you know, like doing in the scene, and it's similar here. Right? Just that you have interactive bits in between. Okay, so you have your very first shootout. And this is where we were talking about the huge size of the arena. And one thing I find particularly interesting is that these drone enemies, actually, I think you see it a bit better. Oh no, I don't want to see him die again. Here. These guys, they don't really use the cover because they're kind of floating drones. So that's actually kind of okay, right? You don't feel like it would be something they would need to do. But then you kind of wonder, for whom is all of this cover, right? Neozog, thanks for the follow, right? Certainly not for the player because it's too far ahead. I mean, there's a bit of a combat section later where we get attacked from this earlier on, and I'm not sure how well they connect, right? So this is not necessarily a bad thing. This might just be an attempt at trying to mask the arena by adding more stuff so you don't know, you know, it's rocks. Why would it be an arena? But at the same time, it feels a bit like an odd setup. Yeah, they're not really using the cover. And for me, this is sort of like, it's really hard to make arenas not look like arenas. And this is mostly because the requirements that the gameplay has are not necessarily the requirements that you, or don't necessarily mesh well with the requirements that an organic and believable looking locations might have, or that is necessary to create these kind of organic and believable looking locations, right? Because ideally, from a gameplay point of view, you just have the perfectly flat ground, right? You'd have everything with like just the perfect distance in between covers. The cover objects always have the same size and length and all of that, right? At the extreme, and that will inevitably make it look like an arena. However, of course, as games have progressed over the years, we've gotten better and better and more flexible with doing this kind of stuff. But like at a time like this, adding cover like that in areas where the enemy might not use it or whatever, right? It just gives away a more stronger feeling of it being an arena. Right? It just, like, you look at it and go, yeah, this should be where combat is, right? Okay, I'm looking around. Poor dude is dead. We go forward, and I remember vaguely being attacked as we head up the hill. You know what's also interesting is that at this point in time, you don't really have any clue where you're going. Which is not, it's not a necessity, but it's an observation nonetheless. Was that the combat that I remembered? No. Ah, yeah. Weird, right? So you get... Intriguing. So you have all of this cover, but this point in time is kind of behind me, and even this cover, you kind of feel... Oh, yeah, there we go. Even this cover ahead here, you know, like, this is sort of like how these two covers are supposed to connect. You're in one, and the other one in front of you is slightly lower, but it's in a safe spot, inviting you to go cover up there and get closer to the enemy, right? This, in theory, should only have benefits for the player. And I actually do this because I'm not afraid of these guys, right? And I move forward, which is kind of cool. I glitch out a bit. I suck. But it kind of still invalidates, again, all the cover that was before us, because it kind of went unused in both combats, right? Did the chat die? I didn't hear from many of you for a while, which is sad. You know, I don't need the attention, just wondering. Also, Matthew, any songs? Oh, thank you for the responses. Any songs you associate with areas you have built? Yes. Yes. There is, both in Witcher 3 and the expansions and in Cyberpunk, there's places that I look at and I almost have the songs playing in my head that I used to listen to when I was playing them, which, you know, isn't helped by the fact that I'm one of these people that can loop a song for hours. Like, if I find the right tune, I'll just put that on loop and then go. And Andre, holy shit, thank you so much. Hello, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for your subscription. Earning your hard-earned cash on your fellow industry colleague. Thanks again. That's great. Andre used to work for us as the RPG lead, and he's now working at IO Interactive. I don't know, have you already started? Are you moving over? Have you moved yet? You need to leak to me all the details of the next Hitman stuff. We'll talk in private. Oh, fucking awesome. Are you excited? Hey, see, and this is the kind of talk that we have in the industry all the fucking time. You know, people move around a lot. It's still a small industry. There's so many cool projects to work on, right? That's a big problem. There's many more cool projects to work on than you have time to actually work on, right? And so, as creative people, which designers tend to be, right? Even game designers who usually work with numbers and stuff and push around Excel sheets. They, you know, it's just, you need to seek out like that thrill of creating something cool. And Anja here has decided that, you know, the makers of the Hitman series is where he wants to spend his next few years probably, because that's how long games take to make nowadays, right? And that will probably be like an awesome life experience. And we have these kind of conversations constantly. I talk to people like, hey, you know, you used to work for us, or do you want to work for us? And how is it at this job? How's the games you're working on, right? And they're usually always like, nah, we can't talk about it. But then you give them a couple of beers and it'll be fine. No, it's a good time. I genuinely love working in this industry. The people in it, no matter where they work, brilliant. It's so cool. I actually like that, you know, you have all these conventions coming back as well, hopefully, where you can meet all of these people. Ah, look at this bit. You have like this piece of cover that allows you a far sight into the distance. And you know, here, whether intentionally or not, the whole compositional aspect and the framing, as we call it, works much better, right? You have all of this sort of, and this strong sort of like shapes here that kind of point towards this. You have the guiding lines, and so the focus in the middle of the screen is much stronger, which, if you see the tiny dots over there, you can see enemies lurking up ahead, and there's cover here to help you hide and be hidden. But I do think the distance here is probably too far to be of any use for engagement, right? So I can't actually really start fighting from here. I do need to move closer. And I do this by fucking over that gas balloon. Yeah, I would like to do that, Matthew, by the way, but now I'm afraid that what Anje will say. You know, what I do like about this space is that their arenas are sort of, you know, compartmentalized. Right? We know now that after I've played it that the level actually does continue quite a bit further up beyond this hill, right? But this arena is built relatively tightly knit. You can see that the hill actually goes up here, preventing sight over what is behind it, and making all of this more feel like one space, right? And as you're fighting these robots, these flying robots, you're focused on what is here and right in front of you, as opposed to what is to come, which is nice. But you notice also how like some of these covers are just flat out useless. Like you just go into this one, and you wouldn't be able to see anything at this point because of this big rock. They basically would form a line, right? So inevitably, if you want to continue, you actually need to move out. And if you do so, you're out with no cover fighting these drones. Now, admittedly, they're not strong, but it catches the player, it forces him to move into a very awkward position in order to continue fighting. Well. All right, the James Bond game. Holy shit, man, that's gonna... Yeah, I'm a big James Bond fan. Can't wait for the movie, actually. I don't think so. I don't think you can dodge in this game. It might be in later games. I haven't forgotten. Ooh. And hey, yo, guys, yo. Same thing as earlier, right? Like, because of the trigger of the cutscene, you're actually, like, this one is really confusing because you lack all the context. The cutscene happens right in front of us, behind this thing, right? But it triggers at a moment in time where I actually can't see that. Look, now I move forward, and the millisecond I see these spikes, right? Like, my brain doesn't even have the time to process it. You can see them. Oh man. Oh wow, that's unfortunate. Can I try this again? It's risky. Yeah. Okay. You see the spikes right here, right? And it's just a split second before the cutscene starts playing. Come on, BioWare did this intentionally, didn't they? And again, that sort of prevents you from having any kind of context. What is going on here? It's actually quite confusing, sadly. Because this moment is really great. It's fucked up. You're like, wait, these are robots. Why are robots caring about impaling people? This seems like it's such an un-robot thing to do. Alright, why am I moving around? Ah, because the dude starts shooting at me. Yeah, this is a bit awkward, right? And here, I think we might make a point here for that being the design intent. So the awkwardness I have from this position is that I actually cannot see the enemies behind, right? Like, everyone is shooting at them. I can't, which is a bit of a weird feeling. Now, you may argue that this is then to make the player actually willing to move forward to this cover, right? Because I can't see, but I know if I get, like, so I have to get closer. Luckily, there's a piece of cover that I can go behind and I can use and then fight these enemies probably, right? But this one is also quite nice over here, this piece of cover, and there's literally nothing, now that I have sight on the enemies, pushing me away from this super mega comfortable position, right? And this is something that people, designers, need to be really conscious when placing cover, because you can really easily end up in a position where you place a cover that is just too nice for the player to move out of, right? Because the way players operate is, if given the chance to get like a super OP sniper position from which they can shoot everything without being shot at, they'll take it, right? Which can be cool, but at the same time, it also takes away every bit of challenge from a level at the worst case, right? From a combat experience anyway. And this bit of challenge is ultimately where the fun comes from, right? So ideally, you want to keep the player a bit on their toes, a bit engaged, right? Because if they just need to camp out behind a piece of cover and everyone dies in front of them without you getting any damage, that can quickly become boring to players over the long time. So that's why these little instances can be really dangerous. And how could this be, solved, for example? It might be because of, there's several ways to solve situations like this, right? For example, what if we had an enemy spawn on the left side, right? Like, of my character, like a bit further away, which can more easily shoot me from this position. And now then I need to suddenly reposition myself and keeping me engaged in the combat, right? That might be one of the more simpler tricks. Be careful not to be unfair when this kind of stuff happens, right? Alternatively, I mean, was this piece of cover really necessary? Maybe it could have been removed altogether and we could have just had the view on this without that piece on the right. You know, it might actually be better because I'd be able to see more clearly. Okay. Okay. Actually, my friend Harok LP, he pointed out something here, which is, you know, I think you meant it a bit as a joke, but it is very, very true. This is a concept let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. This is cool. This is a concept, you know, that he's hinting at that we call player archetypes, right? We basically try to envision different player archetypes. And what does that mean? Well, a player archetype is basically what Harok here described. A player archetype might be the kind of player that goes all Rambo and is super aggressive, right? And he storms in right into the middle of the action and shoots at everything that walks around and, you know, and plays it like that. There might be, like, a player archetype in these kind of games might also be the sniper, right? These types of players, they will play very differently. Usually when these types of players are attacked, they will try to retreat as far as they can. They will always try to build their distance, right? To find fortunate positions where they can camp out and shoot at enemies from a distance without being hassled, right? And just these two archetypes, there's many more, and it really, really heavily depends on the kind of game you're making, right? And the genre you are. Basically, just these two, right? Once you get an understanding of this being a thing for your, or valid assessment of players for your type of game, the type of game you're making, you can use these to make a few assumptions and then actually build your level to serve these assumptions and to help out these players, right? For example, if we assume the aggro Terminator Rambo kind of player archetype, of the kind of player that takes their shotgun, storms right into the action, and then suddenly finds themselves surrounded by 3 enemies, and it's all terrible for them and they're almost dying. Maybe you as a level designer can plan ahead and place some health items right there at the forefront of that cover, right? So that the player that's moved in, that's gotten themselves in too hot, can get a bit of healing and fulfill their power fantasy and their style of playing. Or maybe there's you know, let's take a look at some 2D level design from the top, right? Imagine a room. And I'm gonna portray the simplest cover layout here, right? So there's maybe some cover here, there's cover here, and there's some cover here, some cover here, right? And so our Rambo dude just storms in now, right? He shoots at all the enemies, enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3, enemy 4, and he finds himself in this position, shooting everyone, killing this dude, but he's now in the crossfire of all of these enemies, right? And shit's looking really ugly for them. Oh crap, switch screens. Wait, which one is it? This one. Haha. Okay, I'll draw. Sorry, I got carried away. Let's do it again. So we have the drawing here, right? I'll do it again. No worries. Okay, 2D level design. Okay, so is red the best color? Probably, yeah. So we have the room, the most simplest cover setup. One cover here, one cover here. This is 2D, right? We might have a bit of cover here. There's maybe some cover here. He might be even on a higher spot, right? You have a vantage point. There's enemy number 1, enemy number 2, enemy number 3, maybe 1 standing just right here. And our Rambo player comes in, moving in. He's like, oh, I'm going to shoot everyone. And he moves into this position because he's such an awesome Rambo. He takes his shotgun, takes this guy out, right? Tries to shoot at this guy, it doesn't really work. And now he's in the crossfire of all of these enemies, right? Shooting at them. This one can shoot in a curve for whatever reason. And he's basically right in the crossfire, having a difficult time, right? Now you might say as a designer, all right, fuck him. He dies, he gets to try again, right? But I think that's, you know, that's not necessarily, you know, how you need to approach these designs, right? You can be, like, depending on the type of game you're making, you can be forthcoming with these type of games, right? With these type of players, right? So, again, maybe you've already prepared some health item placed here, right? Maybe the player can pick up some grenades right here to use and to help him out, right? Or maybe, as the level designer, you've prepared an exit route. So maybe there's like another little, you know, let's go back. Maybe the room is, the building is laid out like this. So this is an open hallway, but there's actually a little door over here and there's some windows here, right? So that when the player finds himself in this position, they're like, oh shit, where do I go? Then they're able to flee into this area. Probably it would be better to place this door here so they have a bit of an angle actually. And then they can recover, heal up maybe, and continue the fight from these directions, right? It's getting a bit chaotic now, I realize. And potentially, you know, maybe there's like an exit here, so that player can resume their Rambo-ness by jumping through a window and then shooting these guys and flanking them and having one hell of a time, and then you Rambo'd that level, right? And all of this you can do because you anticipate, you got an awareness of the kind of archetypes, the player archetypes that your level might, or your game might feature. And you then understand the needs of these archetypes, the problems these guys might bring themselves into, and then you can work on providing a solution for that, right? And similar things you can do with the sniper type player, right? Again, I'm just using these two as an example, but there's many, many more depending on your game. Corpoik, I'm very sorry. Let me actually try. Can I just turn the dude off altogether? Because I'm really sad by all of you being nuked by our friendly robot, neighborhood robot. Trust me, they're just trying to help, but not really good at it. Oh, hello? Wow, now my Streamlabs page isn't opening. Let me try it differently. Stream settings. Oh, now it worked. Okay, cool. Let me try to just... I'm sorry, you are being too aggressive and I'm putting you on timeout. Yes. What is the list of banned words? Okay. Can you try again? I hope it should be better now. Sorry. It might be, maybe you've written a too long paragraph or something. I don't know. This is fucked. I'm sorry. I'll look into this and I'll improve on this next time. Mr. Samura, thank you so much. I do need a bit of a haircut. Anyway, so let's talk about the sniper thing before we move on, right? Because I think this is a really important topic, and it's actually kind of cool concept that I don't think is oftentimes talked about when it comes to game design, right? Let's use blue for the while being. So the sniper player, right? Same situation. You can see this, right? We have the room, and maybe they have found themselves on a bit of a catwalk that they can access, like maybe they got into the level like this, right? And now they have, like we do here, they have an overview of the entire area in front of them, right? And they can try to pick off all the enemies that are placed around in this arena, even though they have cover, right? There's the cover, great cover drawing. And if you just let the player be, they will just keep standing there and take out everyone. And you will see that probably they'll have almost zero challenge doing so. Now, again, this might be cool every once in a while, and you might even think, no, I love these moments. I love using my sniper rifle. But in the reality, we want to try to keep things engaging, right? And you do this by having a bit of a challenge. And how do you do this here? Well, you don't let the player just get away with this. Mythos, thank you so much for the Prime subscription. Oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is just so crazy. Yeah, and pretty much, Talia Kid, pretty much. It's like very universal sort of, you know, kind of line of thinking, right? So how do I prevent this player from just camping and sniping, right? And there's multiple ways. There's multiple ways, as always, right? As I just described, maybe you are just a bit mean and you spawn, like maybe there's a bit of a, maybe, who knows? Maybe there's a spawn closet here. Like there's a room here, and you just spawn an enemy over here and he will run down and start shooting at the player from there, right? And these archetypes of the player, they might try to fight back, but realistically, they will try to probably try to retreat somewhere, right? Move back. Worst case, they will actually try to move back here, right, from where they came from. That's a whole different problem altogether. That's a kind of door problem. It really is that we can discuss later on. But so when this happens, you know, you need to consider though, like you now smoke the player out, you let them move, but you don't want to be unfair to them, right? So provide them with a chance to relocate. Again, maybe the level continues here. There's a door here and maybe some windows over here, so that player can flee over here and then reposition to here and start shooting from this direction, right? And then you need to, again, to think about how do you keep the player engaged, blah, 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 right? Another solution, and you'll see this actually, at least I tried to do this in Cyberpunk's mall level, the Grand Imperial Mall. I'm trying to use enemy types to do this, right? So one solution would be to have melee enemies, for example, right? And melee enemies, they will just run up to the player, right, and push them away from that. So they become a priority target to this type of player. Maybe not so much to other types, right? But to this archetype, they're definitely a priority target. They want to do the whole Legolas Two Towers thing, right, where they try to take the dude down before they blow everything up. Also, by the way, speaking of blowing things up, I guess suicide enemies in games also fall into this category of being a solution to this. So, you know, it has the same effect than just kind of making this dude spawn, right? Just have like an enemy run at them. Now, in Cyberpunk, you actually have the animals which can jump up, right? They have the charge jump, we call it. So they're able to jump from the lower levels of the main hall of the mall up to the second floor. So players who just decide to camp out at the top, they will actually see that some of the animals running towards them, animals is a gang in the game, they will start running towards the player, just jump up, right? And then charge at the player, which again forces you to kind of relocate. Again, player engagement, this is what keeps the game fun, right? But don't be unfair about it. There's definitely a line to be drawn here. Sometimes like a cover, yes, Kelly Kuhn also brought out a fantastic point. Other games do it with destructible cover. This game also does it, which is brilliant if you can do it. Not all engines are able to support it well, right? Because a destructible cover system can be difficult from many technical point of views. One being, for example, that you need to be able to have the AI understand when a cover is broken, hence not usable anymore, right? So this is not necessarily a huge challenge, can be, but it's something worth considering, right? You don't want the AI to start covering somewhere where they can't. For the player, it doesn't make so big of a difference because we can see these things and figure this out, right? You see it's broken, so I can't use it. But the AI, they're either, generally they're too smart, right? And you put limitations on them, but then you need to kind of figure out how they can understand their surroundings. Anyway, I think that is it for this part of the discussion. Let's move on. And I will actually skip on a bit now to... yeah, I had like this... Was that here? Was that here? Yeah, one thing I was thinking about here is also coming up right now. And actually, by the way, with the point that Kelly brought up, I think you can get an understanding why I love working in level design and game design so much, because exactly there is not one solution to problems, right? Oftentimes you might have an issue in the game, right? And there's so many ways to overcome these and to be creative with. And things get even crazier in the amount of options you can solve stuff with when you look at the when you look at cross-department cooperation, right? Maybe something like enemies not being noticed by a player can simply be fixed by the sound team creating a shout for the enemies so they shout, right? Yeah. Yeah, so my sense here is that, like, one thing they tried to solve in terms of trying to push the player from their safe spots, think of the sniper player, to move forward to a more interesting and engaging location is by giving the enemies good cover or making your earlier cover spots almost sort of useless and obsolete, right? Like being in this cover spot allows me to shoot this dude, but when he never peeks out, I can't do anything. Other than that, this cover is really useless, but I'm already presented with the next piece of cover right here, which coincidentally actually seems to be exactly the same mesh. Yeah, you can even see, whoops. Oh, you can even see texture-wise the same dark. Oh man, it was better viewable in the frame just a second earlier. Well, it doesn't matter. You can see the same sort of pattern in the texture repeat. Whoops. Yeah, so I moved closer. But it's still not really all that useful, right? Which, in a way, I'm not feeling so comfortable with, but it kind of works because, like, ultimately, for the fun of it and for the entertainment of the stream, I kind of was sort of like going, hey, why not try to move into a better position? Let's try to flank them. But you see here, no matter where I am, the enemies that I want to shoot at, I can't. Right? So I'm look at this. So I'm here. I'm trying to shoot at this. No, actually, it's earlier. Earlier? Yeah. I'm here. I'm trying to shoot at this dude. I can. But like the enemy behind that, I can't. So I'm trying to reposition to shoot this enemy to see what else I can do without going closer, because I know it's dangerous. There's lots of enemies still around, an unknown amount of them. And now I'm trying to shoot this dude. But once I get into cover, I actually can't. Right? It's not very fortunate cover placement. So I need to now move forward. And yeah, like by going left here, I felt too exposed to this dude, right? And if you think about combat spaces like this, they are essentially almost like puzzle pieces, right? Because like I'm trying to solve this combat puzzle, right? Like if I go here, then I will be shot by this dude. So I need to find a solution to this guy first before I actually can solve this problem of this dude, which is what I initially wanted to solve, right? Interesting way of thinking about these things, really. And that might very well be, I don't know. I think for me it has like a bit of a, like it feels rough, right? It doesn't feel so elegant as, say, the Dishonored level design, which is absolutely masterful, right? Or even the Portal level design. There's definitely some rough edges here because it doesn't fully connect 100% always, right? So I'm flanking them, which felt good. But I flanked them more out of necessity because I couldn't do anything else, which I suppose is not too bad, right? Nojakas, first off, welcome to the stream. Thank you for asking how do I feel after my COVID shot. I feel better. I feel actually really normal now. Excited because of this stuff happening, of course, the stream. But like, you know, the first day after was the first night after was really bad. I felt really sick, but now I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Would do it again, though, any time of day. Okay, we skip this. We skip this. We skip this. I was lucky enough to get the Johnson vaccine, so it's just one shot needed, I believe. And again, here is something we see yet again that I feel is a bit of a repeat topic here, but I think that it just makes the point clear, right? That this area could do with some better staging of their locations. For example, the cutscene we are about to see will focus on things that we see on the left screen, right? Be honest here. Let's actually use the poll. Or no, actually just write it in the chat. Fuck it. Let's just write it in the chat. Walking up this hill from here, where do you look at? Core point, yes, the arm is still hurting, especially when I do this. Yeah. Exactly. So I will keep on this recording, right? I'll run this a bit. And notice, now take a look. Okay, we can see these guys on the left, but it's still really unobvious, I find. And notice when the cutscene starts playing. It starts playing like literally before we actually, like even in this shot, if you, like this is literally seconds before the cutscene starts playing. Now, if you take your eyes, not literally, and squint at the screen, right? Just like this. I know, it looks a bit silly. But what areas do you actually see? Do you see the poles on the left? Not so much probably, right? You will probably focus, as you have written, mostly on this area. Anjay, probably until 11-ish. Right? So most of you have described like you were either looking at this or at this. And I think these are all very valid. Also the smoke, obviously, because it's streaming. It's moving. It's moving. I'm sorry. My brain just kind of slipped there. Right? You don't really look at these guys. And now the cutscene starts playing though. Right? And that leaves you a bit confused. Like, what the fuck? Where are these? What am I looking at? I mean, it's cool what I'm seeing, but I have no idea what the context is, right? And this is confusing because the game actually does this. You like remember like I think minutes later we'll get this moment of the cutscene where Saren kills Nihilus, right? Which is a cutscene that happens somewhere entirely else on the location. So they do this where it's, you know, like sort of jumping around. Take care, Anjay. Thank you for dropping by. And thanks again for the subscription, mate. I really, really appreciate it. Have a good evening. Yeah, so you see this kind of stuff happening, right? And you're like, okay, it's a bit confusing. And then you're wondering, okay, where are the enemies? Where are the enemies? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And then you see them on the left, right? And I think this could have been done better. Again, for those of you who have been here in my previous streams where we talked about Dishonored, you know, the early streams, you will remember moments where we did drawings and all of that of guiding lines and, you know, how all of this kind of actually really does make you focus on this stuff, right? Like the color, the moving smoke, right? You have the contrast of the bluish tones to the sudden warmth of the fire. All of that is priming you to look at this. And you're like, yeah, there's probably something over there. And by the time the cutscene happens, a new element gets introduced, which is this pole. And why do some of you focus on this bit? Well, simply because it is something that breaks the flow, right, of the composition here. You have the lines going here, you have the lines going here, you have a line going here, you have one here, probably also here, right? And then this dude is just in the middle and poking out and breaking that. And that popping out enables you, like puts it right in the focus of your eye, right? Because it breaks a pattern. And our eyes are trained to not only to find patterns, but to see where it is broken, which is something that, I mean, up until recently, only we humans could do so well, right? Slowly, neural networks are catching up with this ability of understanding patterns, but that's why you are allowed to do all the Google captchas of figuring out what screen has traffic lights, because computers can't do that yet so well. So, you know, and this is exactly the same principle. But it doesn't do anything to help you look at these dudes. And this would have been just so much more like the simplest fix would have been just have these dudes impaled over here, right? And it would have been epic. I don't know. But this cutscene saves them by the bell, and the linear nature of this doesn't make it like a critical error, right? It's not like the game isn't fun because of this, right? It's just we're analyzing at a high level here, right? We want to get better, so we have to be nitpicky. And clearly, you know, as we've looked in the past, this is something that other games do consider heavily, right? And I don't want to just make this sound like we're ripping on these guys. No, this game is fantastic, and they have improved on this in the consecutive series in Mass Effect 2 and 3, right? So they clearly agreed that there's room for improvement here, and they did. And that's why I'm feeling okay doing a segment like this, right? Usually, I feel like these streams should be all about celebrating making games and sort of the art of making games and all of that stuff, right? And I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it wholesome. Oh, Mirosi, I didn't see that you cheered 100 bits. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's do this, and then now we'll do the analysis of this last combat space before we move on, because I actually still have some stuff that I want to talk about before we move. Oh yeah, I actually talked about this, the whole moving forward thing, right? Here, for example, they have amazing staging, right? You move forward, you move around the curve, you look a bit at this tower, but it's not so important. Then movement of that on the right actually pulls you over, and it's a pretty cool moment. But what I didn't really like about it, and maybe it is to mask how funny it is how it actually disappears, right? Because it just, after some point, it just doesn't go away. It just scales down. At least that's how it looks like. Yeah, here, it just looks like it's being made smaller. You're already being shot at, which kind of prevents you from actually finally looking at this, right? I just made it a point to actually just look up, but I think most players wouldn't. And here again, I think we have a bit of an awkward cover placement. You see, I don't really have any good place to gravitate to be at, to feel safe, to fight, right? And it's making this... It's a bit sad because, you know, there's this awesome arena they want you to fight in down there, right? But you're not using it. Because clearly I seem to be just pulling back and all of that stuff. It makes this all go to waste just a little bit. However, here, in a way, the composition and staging is a bit better, right? Like, I mean, if you glint... Oh, it's crashing of my program time again. I don't know why this... Maybe I should get a board? I forget. It doesn't... Sorry. It doesn't let me do this. I need to do the task manager. Maybe I should get a better program. If you find better suggestions than the software GINK that I'm using, download some more RAM. Oh, I think this machine has 32 gigs. If you have a better suggestion for GINK, the drawing software that I'm using, please let me know. One that doesn't crash would be preferable. You can see the dude being there actually, right? Nihilus, and the whole composition for this space is a bit better. But it's mostly an art thing at this point. I want to focus more on the cover placement here. And you see here it's a bit awkward because I have a pistol. It's not a really long range weapon. I'm not sure if I could have had a longer range weapon at this point in time, but I didn't, which made this a bit unforgiving. My AI buddies are, yeah. But generally, this is like a very favorable position for the player to fight from, top to bottom, right? Okay. Okay, gents. Jakas cheered a bit. Thank you so much. These are cool symbols. Okay, guys. I'm going to cut this a bit short, this section here, because I still have some saves to show you, which I think highlight a bit of an extremity of these scenarios, right? And I'm hoping we can do these in the time that we have left. It's a bit like an hour. Okay. Anyway, like I'm my own boss. We can do as many streams as we need for this, right? I was kind of planning to already focus on Mass Effect 2 next week, but maybe we need to do another Mass Effect 1 bit already next week instead. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see where the tide takes us. Man, Ojakas, that's fucking cool. Thank you so much. Man, that's just awesome. It really, really is. Okay, Toastspender Shepherd. I need to change the careers. How do I exit? No. Main menu. Yes. Load career of my other switch careers of Julia Shepherd. And here I have some saves prepared. So here we have a combat section in the lower wards of the Citadel. I'm not going to go much more in depth as to what this place exactly is, simply because you need to play the game if you don't know. Because it's really that good. Fucking Najakas, what is this? That's fucking awesome. Stop doing it. I need to... This is making me embarrassed. It's so cool. Look, so... I'm joking, of course. It's really nice. Thank you so much. Okay, look. Let me make sure that difficulty isn't too insane because I don't want to spend weeks dying here. Yeah, because I was... On my private playthrough, I'm playing on veteran, of course, because, you know, why wouldn't I? Okay, casual. So, the task is to storm a club, which is generally not a bad thing, right? So I approach this and immediately, you know, the combat starts. And I'll do this as live commentary now. And notice how I sort of, and I'm not doing this for the sake of the stream, right? Like I pulled back to this and actually this kind of worked. But I was in the common position here and I'm kind of wondering if the game kind of wants me to push in back sooner. Because, you know, this works from here. Like I went past and I backtracked sort of here to go into cover. But initially when I played this on my private playthrough, what actually happened is I came from this direction. I moved into this and then sort of saw people shooting, but I only saw this cover. And then I tried to duke it out at the entrance, which was okay. You can't shoot the dude behind there. Wow, on casual, I think there's also less enemies. So you move in through this. Cool. You go into the cover, which is angled into two directions. So it's, I like it in a way because it's kind of, you know, it's exposing you to either side. But at the beginning of this level, it's a bit difficult, right? So this only becomes valid cover once the player has done a sufficient job at clearing this club out. And this dude, I'm pretty sure he can't actually move around all that much up there. Like, he's probably super static. Oh, fuck. I wanted to show you the triggers. We'll do this as the finale of the stream. I'll show you a bit of hilarity, of trigger hilarity. Okay. Why is the Krogan dude not moving out? Yeah, so this works as an arena, but it's not the most, you know... Oh, I still have the game muted, by the way. It's not the... There we go. Ooh. But on hard difficulty, this is a really, really unforgiving arena because it basically, you know, doesn't really give you a lot of spots to conquer ground and push forward, right? You have this section here, but once you're here, you're kind of camping out here, right? Kind of just doing this and this, because from here, there's little option to actually move forward. So you're kind of pushed to move around, yet this dude never comes out, so, you know, it's not optimal. I prefer like an arena style here where you'd be more encouraged to move around. This, by the way, is a cool way of sort of pulling the player forward, right? I don't know where to go. I move around. The dude starts shooting at me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's where I need to go. And clearly the game kind of wants me to come from this area because there's cover placed here for me, right? But the whole thing, I'm not sure if it works that well if I came from here. Maybe. Oops, I can't stick to the cover here. Oh. That's cool. Find this space a bit cramped. And here you kind of see where it gets a bit gamey with the cover placement, right? Like what I meant earlier. It's clearly an arena. Like generally all of these things. I mean, you could argue, yeah, the people in the club, they knew they were coming. You were coming, so they prepared. But it doesn't really feel like it makes a lot of sense. It's clearly just meant to be a cover space. You open the door and
Stop right there. Don't come any closer.
Freaking door.
Stop right there. Don't come any closer.
And here again, this is an issue, right? Like you need to move kind of forward into the arena to get to the cover, which is not something that many players are necessarily comfortable doing. It's not really an intuitive thing to do for many. Generally, this situation, we will look at this kind of problem in the next save. Notice here, like everything kind of wants me to look straight and go at that thing. You could argue that the light is a bit kind of, you know, highlighting the space, but if it was just me, I just lower. Can I lower the game sound a bit? Sure. Like so? Maybe like so. Is it better? So yeah, like I would just move straight, but what happens then is sort of you're like being shot from the left and you have a bit of a moment till the turrets build up, but again, on higher difficulties, this is death. It just kills you. But in this scenario, it kind of worked, right? I'm not sure. It feels a bit aged. And the reason why I say it feels a bit aged is because there's no real necessity for it, right? Like, there's no reason to tease you to look to this door and then move into the cover. Alright. I solved it.
Don't kill me, I surrender.
Yeah. Okay. That was a... Oh.
She's not here.
Can I skip? Okay, another one. So this was okay, but this mostly I wanted to show you also for, you know, like how artificial cover placement can look like in this game. And I think they've also done a bit better in the next game, although it's not 100% perfect. Oh, you actually fight your way back. Interesting. This is clean, straightforward, move to cover from cover. You have the enemy straight ahead. Like in reverse, I'd say it actually works almost better than it did from the front. Here I don't really have any cover to move to from this position they're shooting me. I guess I could hug the wall, but it doesn't really... I don't know, maybe it's me from being used from contemporary games, but it sort of doesn't feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, right? It's not... It doesn't look to me like this is supposed to be as used as cover, but it clearly is, right? So I guess the issue here is a bit of a visual highlighting one. Ultimately, it's not such a big deal. As you see, I can navigate the level and it's fine, right? Okay. But still, room for improvement, especially if you compare it to, you know, the other games that we've already looked at. You can see that there's a bit of a difference in quality for sure. You should showcase the level design from one of the... Yeah, absolutely. It is high on my list. And Crazy Kitty, maybe you can take some notes here as to how often this was asked for, because I have an Excel sheet where I put the votes for each request, you know, and then use that to weigh it. Now this level... Okay, this will hopefully be a bit funny. I will show you something. Let's do it even on normal difficulty. Is this normal difficulty? All right. Yes. Oh, this is veteran. This is what I've been playing before. And that made this level impossible. Now the trigger mess we'll do after this. I haven't forgotten about it. Okay, so I'm on this spaceship, right? This is their, let's say, procedural level design sections, right? This same level gets reused in multiple different story bits and instances and slightly put together differently, right? So it's relatively cheap and just rebuilt to serve a narrative, to provide sort of like B-grade content, which is okay, right? You don't always need to have like the highest level quality content through every single bit. As long as there's a lot of high quality content, you also can have some easier to digest pieces of content like this one, right? You just storm a space station, have some combat, loot some stuff, fun. This one is fucking hard, and I mean it. Like I'm actually, come on, like I'm actually relatively good at playing video games, right? And this one fucked me up, man. And you'll see, like I'll try my best here. And I'll just play this a couple of times. Hopefully I don't need to. Hopefully I can just do it on my first try. So this is already of a bizarre setup. Remember, we're on a spaceship.
Intruders, kill the hostage.
Can't move because I'm stunned. These fuckers just swarm me. Alright, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And if you have hints as to how I should play this, by all means, let me know. Like, okay. And this is again like also trigger based, right? I can stand here for all day. Nothing will happen. I can shoot into the room. And they will start coming. Which was not necessarily the point I was trying to make. And they will just come. They'll just... they don't give a shit. So what am I supposed to do? Run back? I can't jump on top. Holy shit, I think I can make it. What? I did it? What the fuck? Why am I dying? Oh my god! I almost didn't do it. Why are these dudes so aggressive? Like every other enemy we've played until now, they're like, yeah, I like cover, I stay in a distance. These guys, you know, and they're bionics, they're the spellcasters of the game, they're the wizards, they shouldn't be rushing you. Anyway, this isn't even the hard bit. Though I am impressed by myself that I've already managed to do this. So the thing is that this section, this is a hostage situation, right?
You write letters and everyone ignores you. So how about if I kill Chairman? Please, let's not. Since the Chairman...
He'll get killed.
Seeing you all... You had your chance.
You don't have to die.
Crippled from side effects of the implants, but you voted against reparations.
I'm giving you a choice. Put down your weapons and surrender.
The problem with this icy deck is that you can't use the sniper here because of the cooldown between shots and these guys just storming you. Oh, this is so good. I you know, like this one, I played this on hard, right? And I eventually managed to do it, but it is absurdly difficult. So just move to sides while attacking or backing out. Yeah, but generally, you know, LoL 3K, you don't really want, like when you build an arena, right? As a Let me... Number 4 is the magical number. If you build an arena as an LD, right? You kind of build the room and then you plan the cover placed around and all of that. Usually what you don't want to do is, you know, have the player back out of the arena into a previous section. It's just not so elegant, right? You want to ideally allow the player to move into the arena and then use your awesome combat space. And if you have played Doom, you'll see this solved in so many brilliant ways, and they're really, really good at this, right? Like, engaging the player and making them move according to how the game is designed, and hence getting the most fun out of the game, right? This arena does pretty much the exact opposite, right? You saw the only, no, why can't I? The only solution I found to it was actually to move out, because here I don't actually have any cover, and look what happens when I do use it. So if you look at it, the valid cover that I have is maybe this, it's maybe here, and it's maybe here. But I don't know yet. As a player, I don't know there's combat, right? I'm like, okay, this is a maze. I don't know. And then you get attacked. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying. I'm genuinely trying. I'm still stun locked. So let's figure out why this doesn't work so well. Because I don't just want to showcase that, holy shit, this is difficult. This is not ideally designed, but let's actually take a look at why this is and what steps could be done to improve this, right? Because the difficulty isn't necessarily the problem. But the problem here is that the difficulty doesn't come from the encounter, the specific challenge in it, but like from the layout and how it's presented, right? Sort of, it's like an unwanted side effect of how the stuff is laid out. Not to mention that as a space station, you kind of wonder how this, I mean, maybe this is supposed to be the main cargo room and they just decided that the cargo should be placed in a weird maze-like structure, because that's how you put stuff in a cargo bay. Just ignoring all of that fact, right? Because it's clearly just here to solve the gameplay. There's very little space here for me to move into the arena, right? Before the actual combat hits. Like the combat basically will start by the time I reach this section here. At which point, when I'm swarmed by enemies, what options do I have, right? So I'm going here. Or maybe I'm pulling back to here. This one is invalid cover because I'll be swarmed by enemies from this side and this side immediately, right? Plus I run the risk of this blowing up and accidentally killing me. Generally, the big behavior problem, the behavior of the enemies here is a problem as well, because I'm not sure if this is a glitch in this area, but I feel that except for that one dude over there by the, and actually, you know what? Maybe you can test it if I put this on casual. I think maybe he's the only dude that knows that cover is a thing. Oh no, she uses some cover. But everyone else is so hyper aggressive. Like, look how they don't really have any distances that they want to keep. This is much easier. Like, they literally just run at us and they, like, look what she's doing. And I think this is where a lot of the difficulty comes from, right? Like, genuinely, when you make encounters like these, you try to stagger the enemies in waves, right? You don't want to throw 10 enemies at the same time at the player, like here, but you want to do 3 and then add some to that, right? So it's like a nice wave of enemies that doesn't overwhelm the player, which happens here. Like when you are in your cover position and 5 enemies run right at you, right where you're standing, it's like this whole swarm thing, right? You don't know which enemy to pick first, and then you get stun locked as well by all of these, which is a whole other set of problems. So in this encounter, you may argue that it could also be improved in many different ways. You could either say, okay, maybe the level design layout here isn't really forgiving and doesn't provide good, reasonable cover for the player, right? Fair point, probably true. But you could also say it's the setup of the enemies, the way they just swarm the player, right? Too many enemies at the same time, overwhelming. But it might also be the enemy composition. Maybe it's not so cool to actually have 5, 6 enemies at the same time that have the same stun ability and that can just chain that, right? Maybe the encounter might have been more interesting if it was like 1 melee enemy, 3 regular grunts, and then maybe that one dude who is able to stun and who's sort of a special difficulty, that dude that's hanging out in the back, right? The kind of enemy that the player needs to look out for a bit more. And the stun attack can be dodged, right, by just moving sideways. So it might be cool to, you know, like move from cover to try to approach this enemy, right? So I feel there's a lot of combining factors that contribute to this enemy encounter to being super hardcore and unfair, frankly, right? Let's clear this out. Okay, I'm incapable of clearing this out. Holy shit. Oh god, it's a trap. So I can guarantee now that our friend over there, he's locked, right? He's scripted to just be there. Which is cool, right? Look, like this is actually awesome. Now I need to move to the left. I need to wait for, like, his ability is on cooldown, so I can move closer, right? I can try to shoot him a bit. He'll do the ability again. Oh, was that it? Oh, he uses his shield. Okay, should I move closer already? Okay, I can. Will you use your ability again? Oh, there's actually a long cooldown on it. Well, he just doesn't want to use it? Hello? Would you use your... Come on, let's pretend. Ah, yeah, you're using it, and now I'm like, ah, okay, cool, I can move in. And now I can shoot him and take him out. That would be cool, right? That in myself is fine. That's intriguing. And I, you know, you may consider building the encounter around this and sort of see how the enemies can sort of make this more difficult. You're hiding here, right? You want to use this timing window. So maybe now a dude pops out from the left here and you're like, oh shit, okay. You need to deal with this dude, right? You move out from here, maybe on this direction. So you move in closer, right? You move in closer to this dude who's hiding behind the tire over there. Suddenly you get shot out from the left. You're like, oh shit. Right, so you can layer this encounter. Don't throw everything over at once. Oh shit, the countdown is running down. Okay, another point of feedback I have for this location is, and I hope, oh, can I do this in photo mode maybe? No. Yeah, and I hope that we can see, this is actually a really good way of explaining this, isn't it? Actually, this is brilliant. Can I do the FOV? Fucking A, guys, let's... This is the ultimate cheat code for doing this. All right, let's get my drawing tool. All right, I'll draw in the entrance. I'll draw in the exit, right? I'll draw in the enemy position of our friend over here. He's the Overwatch dude, right? He's cool. Notice how for this entire encounter, the way that we've been pushed, and I'm gonna use blue for this. We've been basically fighting in this section. This is what I would consider where we sort of progressed until we cleared the entire level, which means there's an entire section over here, like leading up to this, that has been unused, right? And I wonder what would have happened encounter-wise, you know, because one big problem here is for me, of course, the moment I go into the arena, there's nothing keeping me in there, right? Like I shoot there and I just want to pull back. I want to feel safe. I want to find cover, but there's not, right? And I wonder what would have happened if, you know, even like the cheat code would be to just lock the gate, right? And you're just fine. You're now locked in with these guys, which might be believable. These guys have taken over the facility. These guys are bionics. They have psychic abilities, so they might just seal the door behind you, right? Would be okay. What would have happened if this was removed? And there was suddenly this sort of open passage here, right? Allowing the player that when the enemies actually come in from here, actually, let's clear this. That when the enemies actually come in from here attacking you, the player might be able to retreat here and then sort of use the maziness of this encounter, this location, to his advantage, to constantly try and flank the enemy, right? Food for thought for sure. I'm not saying this is like the be-all, end-all solution to this, but let's try to sum up what we have here, right? The second I go in here, I have no overview of what is going on. I have a hard time understanding. I don't know that this will be combat space, which can be bad, which can be good. In this case, it leaves the player really unprepared for what is to come, right? And again, this could, in another scenario, be good, because, as I said, there is an issue to move players into combat spaces and to keep them in there, right? Like with a tendency for them to move back and leave. So having the player actually have to move into the arena a bit before everything starts working might be a good idea, right? Because then suddenly when I want to retreat, I will not retreat as far. I might already be close to cover that I can use more preferably. And from that perspective, it might be really cool. However, here, it actually puts me into a really unfortunate spot because the design doesn't really give me the cover I might need, the protection I might need to actually overcome this encounter, right? And you can see then how when I'm suddenly swarmed with 20,000 enemies from this direction that do not care for distance, how that will result in an overwhelming encounter, right? So we have the unreadability of the arena, right? As a combat space, as what is suitable cover, right? For me, when I look at this and I walk in, it feels like a maze. It doesn't feel like an arena. The pieces around me don't feel like walls. They don't feel necessarily like cover pieces that I should be using. So they don't really invite me to, right? Secondly, the encounter is set up in a way where I get swarmed by too many enemies at the same time, as opposed to trying to layer them, right? And more evenly balance the encounter. There's no need to throw 20 enemies at the same time at me. It just gets chaotic, overwhelming, and also the damage is of course too high. And in this case, the enemy composition for this encounter is also really hardcore. I can see how one might think that it might be a cool way. Maybe it's a unique encounter to just have all of the same enemy type, right? Might be cool. Like in Cyberpunk, maybe it might be cool to have an encounter where there's like 3 or 4 cyber ninjas at the same time and you need to take them out, and it's like just crazy frenzy where you constantly have to run away. Yes, if they don't have a stun ability that isn't on diminishing returns, right? Like literally, in this case, they're able to stun lock me. And in that case, it just becomes unfair, and I would have preferred or suggested a more varied encounter enemy structure, right? That might have allowed the enemies to sing a bit more, or like to sing, sing is the wrong word. I mean, to shine. That's the word I was looking for. To shine a bit more, right? Because in the end, I'm sure that every individual enemy type that you have, the sorcerer with the bio abilities, the brute, the Krogan brute that just charges at you and wants to punch you really hard, they are all cool, and they have all scenarios in which they will be really, really cool, memorable experiences. It is the designer's work to find these scenarios and to make the gameplay guys who are designing these archetypes, these enemy archetypes, really shine, right? And bring up their strengths and allow the player to exploit their weaknesses. Here, I don't really have any weaknesses of the encounter I can exploit, right? Again, and who knows? Maybe their aggressive behavior is a glitch. I don't know. I have some suspicions why that might be. I can outline them in a second. Maybe their charge or like their aggressive behavior is actually intended, which then might be a weak list that we could exploit if we opened up the arena more, provided more routes, right, and have the player try to sort of close quarter combat these guys, trying to flank them constantly being on the move, trying to dodge these stun abilities and take them out. Who knows? The reason why I'm thinking this is might be a glitch is possibly because this set here, this very level is reused constantly, and they're basically moving these boxes around to create different levels, so to speak, right? And I'm wondering if there might be a bit of an issue with the cover, you know, detection of the enemies here due to this sort of shifting nature of these. It's just a far-fetch. It might not be the case at all, but like I've seen this happen in the past, and it might happen. Now, as for the boss encounter, let's take a look at that dude. Yeah, exactly, Matthew. Sort of in the direction of navmesh issues. Like literally them charging might be them just not knowing that they should seek cover and all of that, right? So they're just doing what they do, which is go to the player and try to kill them. Okay, let's take a look at why this encounter is really hardcore for the same reasons, and that establishes us to see a bit of a pattern, because we've looked at the first level, we've looked at the club level, right?
Please, I was trying to help you people.
Rayfish thinks the encounter would be better if the enemies would sing. You know what? It might make for a cool enemy archetype. I think in Destiny they have these of the undead guys. They have these shriekers, right? Which in a way, you know, singing enemies, I suppose.
Why not? What if
Okay. By the way, my shepherd has no chance to resolve this peacefully, sadly. See, I don't have any chance to do this.
I'm giving you a choice. Put down your...
I like it. I like how he doesn't even look at it. It's really, really cool. Okay, why is this is hardcore, right? I mean, it's kind of like obvious from what happens now. I get attacked instantly, I get stunned, and on harder difficult, like this dude is a boss enemy. Look, holy shit. Even on normal, he hits like a truck on easy. Now, photo mode. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. This is like a godsend for analyticals. Huh. Oh, my Krogan buddy died. So yeah, he hits like a truck. We're mega exposed. What cover do we go to? Right? I would wager that if we look at it... Yunami, hello, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? So, let's draw this out, where our actors are standing, right? So we have people here. That's where the enemies are. And then we have us. I would say we're standing at the very least here, right? I don't think we're standing further in. So combat starts. We are looking into this direction. This is our cone of vision. We get attacked immediately, right? And then usually what players do is they look in front of them for cover, right? Like things like here, there is none. So we don't see stuff, which is bit unintuitive, right? Like I could see how they might have anticipated maybe the player to go here, right? Or to go, and I can try to show this. No, I can't. Or maybe here, there's some cover on the left side, right? But as this is behind the player's view, behind the vision, it is not very an intuitive thing for players to seek out and use as cover. Yeah, Yunami, I'm doing great. I'm having a fantastic time. I think we're doing some great analysis here today. I think we have some really cool stuff. That is a bit different from last week. You know, I'm always trying to do slightly different things. So yeah, generally when it's out of the player's side, it's usually also out of the player's mind, right? Except if you've did some really great job of signposting, which is the next step, right? This in by itself, the cover being behind the player, might not have been such a big issue if the player had the chance to actually really look at this and plan this out beforehand. because you know it's a hostage situation, right? So you can kind of guess that things will go south. So let's see how let's strategize before that, right? Actually, this is not even real cover. You can tell this is not really like, this is probably not walkable. So there isn't even, so pretty much we can say there isn't any real cover in this room, right? But even if there was, you know, the whole scene happens before I really enter the room, and then I'm in the room without actually having had a chance to take a look at it. So even so I don't even get the opportunity to take a look around for cover. So even if if the cover behind me was behind me and it would have been okay for players to pick out, chances are I'm not doing it because I don't know about it, right? So that's an issue of the whole setup of this encounter. What could have solved this even is just a small change of sort of the setup here. What if the scene triggered, like you could see the guy standing with a gun at the hostage in front of it. They're just shouting, you know, like whatever bioterrorists, bionic terrorists shout, but the scene doesn't trigger once you actually enter the room up until here. So when you're going in here, you can take a look around, and there might be like a piece of cover right in front of the player, slightly on the side, but very well in the peripheral of the player's view, that I can understand, okay, there's cover here that I can use. Maybe there's like a crate standing here as well, right? And it kind of, you know, implies a bit of combat, but it could, since this is a bit of a storage room, be worked well, right? So then when the combat actually starts, the placement is really important, and I will correct myself here a bit because my drawings are a bit shit. Maybe it starts more like here. That's where I'm standing during the scene. I have a bit of a distance so that when the combat starts, I can move forward. I can stray forward to the side into cover. The guys will be fighting here. As we saw that, we can kind of script their behavior, right? The one dude in the room before was told to stay put over there, which was kind of cool. And that way, we would have had a fighting chance, right? Standing as it is, we don't really. And the only real chance that I had when I ultimately solved this fight on my private playthrough was to run all the way back into the previous room, which was like with the dudes shooting at my backs, right? Because I didn't have any cover. And then actually these guys are super aggressive as well. And we can see this when I now leave this. They have the same kind of behavior that they will chase me. Like, look at her. She's like, and look at him now. He's just approaching. They're coming in. So now I need to run back. And actually, this would probably be a better arena to fight them in, but it's sort of like a far-fetched to expect the player to backtrack all the way to this room, right? Yeah, okay. So, that is that. So to sum up what we've learned from this, you know, and that's what I meant with the pattern, right? Usually there's a, let's just sum this up here together. So what I've seen here is, you know, bit improvement sort of probably on the encounter composition. This might be a one-case scenario. I'm not sure if the enemy composition sort of the types is necessarily a problem throughout entirely the game, but it certainly is here, which gives us some food for thought, right? Stuff to consider in our own encounters. Wow, the enemy composition matters. It matters how many enemies I throw at the player at the same amount of time. A player can usually only handle so much information, and that counts for enemies at the same time before they start feeling overwhelmed and before it starts to become frustrating easily, right? The encounter setup, pretty much, right? And it seems to be a big problem, which is something that many studios, and including myself, I've struggled with in the past, where how do I design an arena that is inviting to the player, that they want to play in, and that provides adequate protection, but also opportunities for the player without making the player OP, right? Yeah, we can clearly see some sort of gaps in the cover placement. None of which would be super hard to fix, right? But it is this step of becoming aware of these that is important, and this is sort of why we're doing this kind of analysis, right? Because it is us becoming aware of these things being potential problems. But through that, we're able to learn, right, and come up with potential solutions, such as the one that I just outlined. And sometimes these solutions can be relatively simple. So before we go into our little Q&A section at the end of the stream, where we just kind of calm this down, right, and land this plane, I promised you to take a look at fun with triggers. So let's do this. And I will describe one more time what triggers actually are. Can I restart a mission? I think I need to actually speedrun this, which is cool. Which it gives me an opportunity to talk about triggers.
Welcome to Alliance Military.
Yes. Skip.
Classified
This is
information
okay.
requested.
So I'll bring down the volume on this. Let's talk about triggers. And I know, Kelly, I need to bring this back, but I don't think we need to see all of this stuff while I'm talking to you about triggers. Unless you want to. Let me know. Let's go with male Commander Shepard for now. Combat difficulty casual. Yes. Go quickly. Okay. Now the intro will play. I can't skip it, so there's that. Okay, so triggers. Now, when you script encounters in any kind of engine, it usually, you can imagine it like the typical sort of programming, like or a scripting flowchart, right? Where you have conditions that the player or any kind of situation in the game causes to be met. And when a specific condition is being met, then a certain action happens, right? For example, in a very, very simplified way, what was it? Like the dude hiding out in the back in this arena previously, he might be scripted in a way where, okay, if the player enters this arena, then hide back in this place and don't move ever, right? That's like very, very simplified explanation of how this might be set up. Now, a trigger is a tool that allows us to detect whether a player has entered a certain area, right? So, how do I do this? Yeah, so for example, I will draw now over... Nope, it's a bit too early for that. We'll draw over this scene happening, right? Please try to ignore it. I'm not sure if I can do it well. So imagine our room, right? And we want the player, we want like a dude to stand here and like another. And this character, he's actually supposed to go on a patrol to here, then hang out over here a bit, or maybe in blue. And then after that, he's going on a patrol to hang out here, which gives us a chance to actually... I realize this is not the most elegant way of doing this, sorry, but this gives us a way to set up like a conversation here, right? And we don't just want this conversation to start when the game starts, right? Because then, you know, the player is still somewhere at the beginning of the level, but they already start talking, and so you'll miss the conversation, right? So we can use triggers in as scripters for this situation. So imagine the player moves into a corridor before this room. Maybe there's a door here. I don't know. Player walks in, and so we place what is an invisible volume, an area, right? Maybe around here. Like it's this size. Why is it this size? Because it's safer, right? I could just make it like this. I could literally just make it so it's like an invisible gateway that the player walks through, right? But I don't need to. So it can also be the entire size. It's just for like that way I can sort of troubleshoot that if the player somehow skips the trigger, right, by jumping or something, maybe he's able to bypass it. If it's this size, then it actually prevents the player more easily, like it prevents them glitching it out, right? And accidentally not triggering this. So when the player walks into this, I can detect that and then decide that, hey, once the player is inside this trigger, the conversation starts. And once the conversation finishes, this dude will go on his patrol, right? And you've seen this in games before, I'm sure, right? We've seen this in Dishonored all the freaking time. Now, next to triggers, usually engines nowadays, of course, have a lot of different methods to detect certain actions by the players, right? To hide conditions. You might use conditions that, for example, detect if an enemy is being attacked by the player, or maybe by another enemy, or maybe if an enemy reaches a certain point of HP, right? Or maybe a certain amount of time has passed, right? So you walk to the trigger, now the game waits for 20 seconds, and no matter what happens, 20 seconds after, the conversation will start, right? Or many, many more things. So these are then triggers. I'm just quickly, okay, because I need to speedrun this, right? So triggers, oops, sorry, crew of the Normandy. So there's many, many different ways of creating conditions, right, to script your encounters. But in the past, I think they probably used to be less varied, and there was a huge reliance on triggers being the only sort of solution, right? And they are still a big part today, you know, even in our games. But generally, it's good practice by a designer to try to mask the triggers so that they're not obvious, right? Like, it shouldn't be obvious that there's a magic threshold that you walk over and then things happen. Which might become a problem with the example that I outlined earlier with, like, you creating this scenario where you can walk into the room with a hostage and the scene will only start playing when you get closer, right? Because at worst, if your systems don't support this sort of level of complexity, you might have a situation where the player just stands in front of the dude and nothing ever happens. At which point, you might script it so that if you don't approach into the trigger for like X seconds, he will just shoot the guy who is then a corpse, and it will continue from there. So in a way, this will cause a bit of extra work, right? Something to be aware of for sure. Okay. I can't skip this, wow. This is something that I noticed when I was experimenting it myself. Come on. Yeah, Matthew knows what he's talking about. I love how, by the way, I know it's quieter, but it's intentionally so, right? But I love how in this part of the story, suddenly this turns into, or like over the course of the game, it turns into Lovecraft in space, which, I mean, kind of is just Lovecraft, if you really think about it. God, I can't skip it. Come on. Look at him. He's like, what the fuck? Okay, I can turn sound back on. All right. If you so insist. Yeah, it's the worst speedrun. I need some sick speedrunning cheats to do this properly next time.
Engaging stealth systems. Somebody was doing some serious digging here, Captain.
Your team's the...
What about... Nihilus, you're coming with us?
Yeah, you're gonna die. Both of you, actually. Let's enjoy the awkward silence. Okay. All right, are we ready, set, go?
Approaching drop point 2.
So we can do a little bit of a... I'll do like a quick save here, and we'll do a bit of an analysis, like tiny, on how trigger placement is here, right? So let's go. Let's see. I'll move forward slowly, and you'll actually see the prompt pop up, because the entire tutorial here is built off of triggers. There's no timing or something. It just waits for the player to move into the trigger and then goes, use this thing, do that thing, right? So I suppose let's see where the next one is. There would be, yeah, there's that conversation. If I move a bit forward, it brings up the next. Oh, yeah, that's around here. Okay. And then if I move forward a bit more, yeah, right on around that, we see this gap. Okay. I think there's already enough to kind of show you, like, we see like sort of like, you know, really sort of evenly spaced out stuff. I can't skip the cutscenes. I should tell this trick to our cutscene designers, you know, like guys, what if we don't make non-skippable cutscenes? It's like that, then people will always look at your work. So do I, Noyakas. Okay, let's run. Let's run and see what happens. Let's run and see what happens. Oh, I can't run that fast.
What the hell are those?
See, so the dialogues get interrupted on itself because it triggers the next bit already. But this is not even the thing where it gets really, really extreme. The one thing where I noticed, I think, comes after this. Yeah, they're like literally, you need to imagine like huge invisible walls, right? That you can just place around. Or volumes, rather. So areas. Boxes. Okay. Do I need to talk to him? Can I just actually... What happens if I just run past him? Does that break the entire game? See how like all the tutorials suddenly start popping on top of each other? This is because they're like, you know, they're basically trigger based, right? So they're like, they just wait for the area and it's just... So they're not really contextual when the player does something, as they are mostly nowadays, right? Most of the time tutorials nowadays are basically you take out your gun and then it goes, oh, I see you've taken out your gun. With R2 you can start shooting, right? Press X to reload or whatever. You open the inventory and it goes, hey, in your inventory you can do this stuff. They're more like Clippy, the Microsoft thing, right? Like in MS, but here it was just like they just expect you sort of, and it's like a thing in old games, right? They just kind of expect, okay, when the player gets at this point, that's the moment where we want to teach this, so we just put the tutorial point of this up, right? And it's it's exactly that. So let's see what happens when I continue running. I actually get pulled back.
You the one in charge here, sir?
But I'm not sure if that gets triggered because of me killing them.
Any idea? The dig site is coming. Aye, aye. Move out.
You know, I'm not doing this, by the way, to make fun of the game. It's just sort of a bit of a reverse engineering. Okay, a next tutorial button prompt. Next one here. Ah, because they want me to see the cover sort of mechanic. What happens actually if I literally just go on?
This is the dig site. The beacon was right here. It must have been moved.
Oh, they kill the enemies for me.
Hard to say. Maybe we'll know more after we check out the research camp.
See, and why did they do this? Well, because they struggled with this problem. They're like, man, and again, like different times, different amount of resources, right? Engines couldn't do so many crazy things and we couldn't spend so much time to do all of these custom solutions we could do now. But like their issue was, fuck, if the player just runs through, we will have moments where you are in a cutscene where enemies will keep shooting you, right? And that will be weird. Potentially, I don't know if you're even immune to damage in these cutscenes. Maybe they had moments during their development where playtesters would put in bugs where basically Commander Shepard was being shot in the middle of dialogue, right? And then probably from there, everything would be falling apart. So they decided the cheapest solution would just be to just kill everyone. So then you don't have this, because the decision that was being made here is, do we come up with an expensive way? Sort of like, I mean, maybe the cutscene doesn't trigger because while you're in combat, right? But then you would need to alter the entire level layout, because what happens if I never leave combat and just run all the way to the end now, right? And what happens then? What's the safety feature then? That, you know, because we have a story to tell, we have a narrative to tell. That's important to us. That's actually arguably more important to us than the combat taking place here, right? And if suddenly these enemies die, does the cutscene take place here? And, you know, you saw this with Mrs. Williams, the soldier that we met just a second ago. We kind of popped back in space, right, to where the cutscene actually takes place. So, because they wanted to avoid all of these other crazy thoughts, like you know, which are arguably more expensive problems, like bigger problems to solve, if you really think about it, they just decide, okay, if we kill all the enemies, people can just enjoy the conversation. It might be funny for a second, but after that, full focus on the story, on the narrative, and it takes us like a minute of time to do, right? Whereas solving the other issues and the avalanche of problems created by proxy from that, it's like a whole different kind of beast, right? And it kind of goes to show how complex game design can really be, and that it's often, if you use the word just in a feature request, it's never just. You know, you can't just do something. You can't just fix something. Can't they just make it so that the you have to kill the enemies before you do the cutscene? We could, but then we need to figure out the case what happens when the player just runs all the way through the end of the level. We need to figure out what happens if, yeah, I mean, the player abandons the combat. We need to figure out a way to get the player back, or even move the cutscene to a new space if the player ends up, you know, like if I run up the hill and shoot back at the enemies and kill it from the other side of the location, do I just pop back into this place, or do we have the entire scene move to this new position where they will talk then about whatever it is they wanted to talk about, which under circumstances might make sense, but then you need to have all of this stuff be dynamic and adjust to the height of the terrain. You don't want the characters to be floating, and. You see how, you know, things can get out of control really, really quickly, and how suddenly a solution like, yeah, let's just kill them all off, becomes very attractive. Both from production, so time point of view, but also like just sheer effort. Do you really want to spend all your time working on that kind of stuff, or do you want to spend more time on making awesome combat encounters or like dialogue, right?
We make for the camp.
Invisible walls are never the solution. Oh god, I didn't want to bring it up, but that's definitely consideration.
I want to check it out. I'll wait for you there.
Invisible walls are bad. No, we don't do them. Let's do one last run here.
It's a good place for an ambush. Keep your guard up.
No, but are invisible walls really fun? Like, if you ever like I consider them outdated. Like, if you put up an invisible nowadays and the player genuinely runs against the air and cannot move, that is such an old school design solution that no. I don't think so. I feel sorry, like if ever anyone who's worked on this game. Whew.
Saren.
Okay, I don't think we need to watch this anymore.
This isn't your
You got my point. You got my point. You got my point. All right. Let's do a little bit of final Q&A. Let's land this bird, this nice stream, you know, before we all head to bed, because we know that's what we're gonna do. No, actually, you know, tomorrow is a public holiday, and in Poland, and I'm having a day off. And like most of my colleagues, I also took Friday off, making it a long weekend. Can't wait. So I'll probably crack open a beer after this one and have myself a jolly good time. And celebrate, hopefully, what was another nice stream. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well. If you have any question about what you've seen, now is the time to ask. Yeah. It's a holiday in Saxony. Thank you so much. I will. I bet they learned a lot while making it. Maybe it was like Witcher 1. Totally. LOL 3K, totally. I think so. You know, like, you can see both in Witcher 1 to Witcher 2, but also from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2, and we will take a look at that next week. You can see lots of improvement, right? So lots of lessons learned and lots of improvement made. Yeah, so basically the idea is that today we looked a bit, you know, like it was less about look at how awesome all of these things are, but we looked at some shortcomings. But the cool thing is the developers, they were aware of all of this stuff and they worked hard to improve on this. And we will take a look at just how the next game has improved, the lessons they learned, and we learned from that, and stuff that we can take, you know, into our own knowledge database to improve our own designs. And again, you know, this might sound really meta. But of course, we're talking here about stuff that is primarily focused on game design, right? But you will find that in a way, a lot of these concepts can be applied to different schools of design, right? Things like overwhelming the user, the viewer, the you know, whoever, the audience with information being bad, right? You wanting to sort of trickle out the information that you want to do. All of this stuff applies in architecture to a degree as well, right? You don't want to create spaces that are too busy. You want to create rooms that, you know, are harmonic, right? And these are things that designers in all facets of life think of when they do to some degree, right? Which is also in part why we have a lot of crossover, right? Lots of designers from one industry joining into another and back and forth, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to learn like these kind of things, because who knows, you know, you might end up needing this at some point in your life or finding it useful. Not necessarily that you need to use less bionic enemies in one encounter, but sort of the message from this, which is the spice being the variety of life. I don't know. I hope you get my point. Case in point, actually. When I was in high school, I did an art major, right? Which I didn't think would be something I'd ever use. This is where I learned all of the, like the foundations of all of this sort of image compositional stuff, right? The whole, like looking at old masters' paintings and figuring out the guiding lines, seeing how they use these techniques to guide the viewer's eye along the painting. Little did I know that years later I would be utilizing these same techniques in my day-to-day job, right? And it would become incredibly useful to me. So funny how that goes. Yeah. Thank you, Rishato321. I'm really glad you liked it. I actually thought really long and hard about how to do this kind of concept, right? And to provide like something unique. I realize, you know, like again, and this might sound weird to you guys if I say this, but I really have no big ambitions to this. Like I have no ambitions to go like, I want to make it big as a streamer or whatever, because I realize this is such a niche topic, right? Like, you know, of the people who play video games, a fraction of those are interested in how games are made. But I'm hoping that by talking about this, you know, that fraction can maybe grow a little bit, right? The understanding of how the sausage is made, if you will, grows a bit, and we can, between developers and also consumers, so the players, we can have a better mutual understanding of where we stand when we provide feedback and criticism, right? And when we look at games. And of course, last but not least, I think one thing I really wanted to do is provide a good source for quality level design content, but also get general game design content that I myself can use as a vessel to improve myself, because I learn while I look at this stuff as well, right? I make observations that I wasn't aware of before, and am able to find conclusions, right? But I'm hoping that, for example, students, like I know some were here today, I'm not sure if they're still around, but like Magda earlier, if I remember the name, right? I hope that this can be a cool source for these kind of people, that incoming talent, newcomers in the industry, to get a bit of a faster or like a head start, right? And in turn, when you get to the place where I'm at maybe now, faster, you'll be able to provide even more knowledge in turn back, you know, to me or the industry as a whole, when you grow more and more. It's nice to watch your stream while laying out UVs. Very informative, easy to understand. Good job. Thank you very much, Yunami. Glad you like it. I hope those UVs are going very well for you. To anyone who doesn't know, UVs are pretty much, you know, like they're related to the 2D textures that give your 3D models in the game the appearance, right? That makes a rock look like a rock. That makes Commander Shepard look like he has a face and isn't a faceless robot. And these are basically the 2D unwrapped textures of that. Imagine literally, it sounds horrible. Take Commander Shepard, skin him, right? And take off his skin and put it in 2D. And you basically have what an unwrap would look like, or what an unwrap is trying to do. Or a UV in that, that case. Luckily, you know, I mean, you guys are doing UVs nowadays. And I mean, they've already become much easier to do than back in my old days, right? I mean, these days, I don't really deal with UVs too much, but I know there's been quite some software help that's you know, been going into that. The tools are getting better and better, so you know, it can't be that hard, right? Can't you just make those UVs better? Yeah, unwrapped face textures look freaky for sure. Albie Leonhardt also, thank you very much for a nice comment. I really, really appreciate it. So when you say layer the enemies, do you generally do that by triggering them or give them a certain AI? Yeah, this can be done in multiple ways, right? Maybe your engine supports different AI behaviors, right? Things like making the enemy be more passive, more aggressive, and varying degrees, right? You might have different sort of behavior presets, like super aggressive, defensive, scared, I don't know. Normal, right? And then you can sort of attach kind of behaviors to these presets. Like the defensive preset will sort of try to keep their distance and hunker down and not move. Maybe there's a cautious preset, which will be like for snipers, right? They will always try to keep the maximum distance they can to the player. And ideally, you can switch that on the fly, right? So maybe you have like an encounter where at the beginning you do 3 enemies that are more aggressive. Maybe it's 1 melee dude. They usually should be able to just run up to the player, right? And you have 3 enemies be super cautious. They try to keep their maximum distance, but you then work it in a way where you detect, hey, but if these 3 enemies in the front rows that charge at the enemies, if they're dead, the others switch their behavior, right? And become more aggressive, so they move forward. Or you just spawn them in waves. That might also be a thing, right? Which you can detect again with triggers, which triggers might be inelegant because for combat arenas like this, because the player might run into this, trigger all of this stuff, and suddenly 20 enemies spawn, right? So maybe for these triggers you would attach additional conditions, like, hey, if the enemy count is lower than X amount and the player goes into this trigger, then spawn new enemies from this side. Things like this. There's a huge amount of different options that you can source from, and it really depends on the engine and your creativity. There's certainly even options that I can think of right now that would be, you know, like cool solutions, and that is part of the experience, right? Of being a designer, and part of what I think makes it so much fun. Hopefully some gaming streams also. Giro, yeah, maybe on Sunday. You know, so on Sundays, occasionally I will do like a Sunday lunch stream, I call them, where it's more like a, just more let's play kind of, I'll just play more closely to how I would privately, oftentimes my private playthrough, maybe even in preparation for the Wednesday stream. And sometimes we will do things like reverse engineer stuff, like, you know, like last time we actually did this in Dishonored, where we tried to do something similar to the trigger stuff here, and we came to the amazing realization that they actually have voiced a coded, like a code, a safe code, that the player gets is randomized from playthrough to playthrough, and they have voice sets for that. So every time you go there, the character will actually say, with recorded audio, a different code that is applicable to the save. Thanks, Miles, for another great stream. I am not a game dev and I will not become one, but the way you talk about gaming is so positive and interesting that I listen to it with great pleasure. It's like going behind the scenes of Hollywood. You don't have to be an actor, be curious and have fun. Exactly. Thank you, Amra. This is exactly sort of what I was hoping to aim for people who are like you. You're not, you know, like you maybe play games, but you don't want to become a designer per se, but you kind of want to get a bit of insight or interested in how the stuff that you enjoy consuming, you know, as a consumer, is made, right? And I think that's very cool. Thank you. What are the qualifications required to be a level designer, Miles? Learning in university or no? It's really not that. I think, you know, like the qualifications just come from like a general understanding about level design. And how do you get this? My one recommendation is always, not doors, but it's part of it, Zaskar, but always to start making stuff. Like get Unreal, get Unity or whatever engine, Game Maker even, right? Or RPG Maker, and just start playing around, making stuff. I started out modding in Warcraft 3's engine and making my own custom maps, right? And get yourself some books. Give me a second. So like this one, for example, right? It's very simple. It's a 101 Things I Learned in Urban Design School by Matthew Frederick and Vikas Mehta. It's part of a series. Spark, welcome back. Thank you for joining back. We're wrapping that out. We're wrapping it up though, sadly. So yeah, and this is like an amazing book series that I can recommend for any ongoing level designer and even environment artist, because these series have like very, like from page to page, very simplified, you cannot see it so much because of the light, but simplified principles, right? That they explain on one page, like you have a little drawing on the this page over here, I don't know, the right page, and you have a little description, just one paragraph on the left side with one sentence to really describe what is going on there. And it really showcases a lot of interesting concepts. Like, and it's even similar to what I've talked about. Like, see here, like these trees. Oh wait, the camera doesn't focus. I need to get a better camera. But here, right, space trees and object trees, it says, right, and how these create different shapes, and then it describes some trees are more urban than others, etc. Right? Because of the organicness, the concaveness of how these trees are planted, and you can pick these kind of trees as an architect, right? Because you go, like, I need a pine tree or an oak tree. You can come up with these concepts, and again, they apply to level design very well as well. Yes. So, thank you, by the way, for the follows, Lex West and Just Simo. I really appreciate it. Fucking awesome. Like, I hope you'll tune in next week again. Awesome. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, you're welcome. Seems level designer position requires a lot of imagination and empathy and thinking what would player do and how to guide player with elements of the game to the game goals. Yes. Absolutely. And I think this is one of the aspects that I enjoy most about my job is the psychological nature almost about it, right? And this applies to many design principles, disciplines. UX design, you know, like media design in general, just sort of understanding what makes the human brain tick, right? What causes them to want certain things, to do certain things. And for level design, that is like very helpful a tool to know and to really elevate your design to the next level. No pun intended. And this is a whole different topic. I might go in on another stream. It would really, it's too awesome of a topic to just glance over. Holographic cherry trees. Fuck yeah. Okay. I'm gonna scroll up one more time. By the way, guys, I am impressed that you're already halfway through the basically for the through the goal of the community challenge, which is crazy. Like, you guys. So it seems that before long we will do that awesome Valheim stream that I was mentioning. So for those of you who don't know, we have skill points on this channel, which you gather from learning together with me, right? You get experience points. By consequence, you unlock skill points, which you can use on amazing perks, which can fuck me over or be just a bit of fun, or you can invest them in our community challenge, which is to unlock the secret level. The secret level is a kind of event stream, and this one, the first one that I want to do, is to get some of my colleagues and friends from the industry to play with me a whole day long. Valheim, right? And we will build our Viking settlement in a way that is kind of similar to how one might work on a game production level, right? So we will come up with some requirements. Maybe you will help us with this as my trusty viewers, right? Come up with some frame that we need to work with. And then we will build a Viking village that hopefully fulfills these requirements. We will composition, the placement of the buildings and all of that stuff, you know, in a very relaxed and laid back atmosphere, and kind of describe our thoughts, what go into this, why we're placing the hut over there, why I'm placing the road like this. Mind you, probably this will be a bit more art heavy than pure level design. Like in Valheim, we won't script stuff, right? It will be a bit more artistic, player guidance perhaps, you know, doing the whole composition, or player guidance tools with contrast, color, blah, blah, blah. But I think it will be still a very fun, relaxed stream. We will schedule when that will be once the goal is unlocked of 25,000 skill points spent. And this is happening awfully fast. I thought it would happen a bit faster, but no biggie. When that will happen, I will let you know. It will probably be on a weekend because, again, it will probably be like a 8-hour or something long, you know, day-long stream to really get a nice result over it. Maybe it will be over multiple days. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, and I think we will have some fun chats with that, right? We'll come up with something cool for that on top of that. And you know what? One of the things I also wanted to do is come up with custom perks, so to spend skill points for in that event stream, right? That might be applicable to this specific type of event stream. If you have other ideas for these kind of streams, you know, things you would like to do that don't really fit the Wednesdays format, please send them over on my Twitter. I have my DMs open. I try to read them all. So that would be really, really cool. 8 hours tea. I might have to take a break and get some new one in between. And yeah, I'm glad to take any suggestions. Same also for games that you would like me to look at. Weird Spark, thank you so yeah, you're not drunk. You are in one of the German Bundesländer, which has a holiday tomorrow, and I'm happy for you. I don't ask me how I can tell. Yes, so anyone who has a day off tomorrow, including myself, I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you will enjoy your weeks. I hope you will enjoy your long weekends. I hope you had a great time. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today again. I hope, again, you learned something. I certainly did. And I can't wait for next week, where, again, on Wednesday, 8 p.m. CEST, we will take a look at Mass Effect 2 and how that game improves from the shortcomings that we have uncovered today and creates a better combat experience for it, right? So having said that, everyone, stay safe. Have a great week. I love you guys. Thank you so much and have a good night. Where is that button?